live as of now.
Here we go. Here we go.
So y'all could talk now. I'm gonna go share this shit out real quick and get it set up. But yeah, man, because people are putting extra faith in. Well, number one, in my timeline, like whenever Xbox is brought up, it's like dismissed. Like people has really lost the appetite to just like attack Xbox or make fun of them for all the shit that they've got going on.
Dude. It's like
now it's
like
exhausting. But 2 weeks ago, you were fucking dig hard for it.
Well, that's because PlayStation is more important because that's still
exactly.
alive.
Well, that's the point. Exactly, and Nelson's right. It is.
Beating a live person to death is a lot more fun than beating a dead one.
But yeah, it's.
I think it's really. Yeah, I think you're really touching the vein with that, Nelson. Honestly, because it's been so interesting to watch all of this happen. PlayStation really PlayStation didn't do anything that was crazy, right? I guess not to jump too deep into it, right? But physical games and digital games have kind of been going this way for a while. But people their post is like one of the most engaged with gaming posts on Twitter. Yeah, that's insane.
No, post period.
Oh, it made it to the
bro. It's on international news.
Bro, exactly. I knew this was big when I seen Trevor Noah. And that was that night. The problem is they didn't do anything that is outside of the bounds of what would be regular, because we've seen this trend, but they just did it in such you can't really call it anything dummy way. You know what I mean? They really just. It's not even a Band-Aid rip. You stomped it to death in front of everybody. Yeah. Why'd you stomp out?
You shot him in the head and you didn't say nothing when he walked away from the body.
In the streets. He walked off. That was not normal.
Shot it like a dog and just went home and ate dinner.
Yeah, that's not a dude. It really just shows that, again, not to dive straight down the throat topic, but Sony really just doesn't give a fuck. They just really don't. They just don't, and that's not good. You know what I mean? That's really not good for anybody.
Me and Will were. I threw a bunch of shit at them too, where they could make more money off physical and not have to. We'll talk about that more. I came up with a whole bunch of ways that would piss people off, but they go through with it. Kind of like Nintendo, $10 more. Well,
save it, because we are officially live, and we already have a few people in the house. What is up, gamers? What is up, Liddell? What's up, Yami?
Hey,
what's up, OG or Goose Gersel? I'm gonna call you OG, bro, because that's gonna be complicated for the rest of the evening. But thank you guys so much for coming through tonight on this beautiful Sunday evening. The State of Gaming podcast is back. So I know that I've been streaming a lot lately, but this is the official stream. This is the official stream. What's up, Hero? This is the stream where we hop in every Sunday night and we try to have guests. My co-host Nelson is here most Sundays unless he has to work. And then today we have a very special guest. Okay, nobody's asking you right now. Can't you see I'm doing the intro right now? Can't you see I'm doing the intro right now?
These dudes on the
chat or spam the chat and attack Nelson. But today is a special one because we have a guest in the house. He was here about a month ago, 2 months ago, something like that, and we popped his podcast cherry, and the chat reacted so well to him. We loved having him on, and he is back today. So I'm gonna give him a proper intro in just a second. But before we get this thing popping, I'm just giving people a little bit more time to come on in and get their seats, get their popcorn, get their drinks ready, get comfortable, lay down with the girl, and just get ready to watch, because we are gonna go off today. There's so much that needs to be said. What's up, Hero? I don't know if I said what's up to you already, but Hero. But we have so much to talk about. As you guys saw, the title of the stream today is Xbox saving physical. And that is a question that we have that we're going to try to answer today with the panel. But we are going to be talking about numerous things today from all over the board. So We got a lot of entertainment for you guys coming right up. And once again, we only allow real gamers on the fucking podcast. We are not like these social media dudes who don't play video games but want to milk video game for whatever it's worth and trying to make a name and trying to make money, but yet they despise the hobby, right? Fuck that. We call them out around here. I don't fuck with that shit.
Yeah.
But I'm super excited. The other thing I also want to bring up is, guys, we hit 5,000 subscribers yesterday or day before yesterday. We're already close, about to hit 5,500. This is blowing my mind, and I want to say thank you guys. It is insane the amount of support that you guys have given me over the last week. I basically did a month and a half of numbers in a week. We just had a video that we put up on Thursday. Today's Sunday. It crossed over 35,000 views. Incredible.
Wow.
The most viewed video I had on the channel was 28,000 views. And you guys crushed that number in just a couple days. Okay. Couple days. So it is incredible the support we've been getting, but it also shows that people are hungry for this. People are pissed off about this. You know what I mean? People are extremely confused with the situation because I don't care what anybody says. This is a confusing situation. The timing just don't feel right. And we're going to get all into that today, as well as give you guys some additional information about some other things that we brought up. And I'm just excited to ask the panel about it. But real quick, I want to give a couple shout outs because these dudes that I'm about to mention are very important to me, very important to the channel, and should be very important to you, the viewer. These are the guys that allow me to get a game like Assassin's Creed Black Flag when I wasn't going to buy it day one because internet required for install. These are the guys that allow me to pick up an extra game every couple months that I wasn't even going to get, but you guys requested and I have no interest in. They allow for that shit to happen. Because remember, everything you see on my channels is funded by me. So these guys coming in to help out and being able to give us a couple extra games a year that we can test for you and give you extra information, that is huge, and they deserve a round of applause. And these guys are part of the Keep It Gaming crew members, and we're going to start off with RPG88. Thank you, RPG. He's been a member for over 10 months. And then we have Mr. Henry Heck. He has been a member for 10 months as well. Stephen Leon, another one that's been around for 10 months. Mr. Sky Arthur from Australia, or I'm sorry, not Australia, from Brazil, which Brazil is on and popping about this PlayStation killing physical shit. So we're definitely going to be paying attention to Australia. So shout out to Sky Arthur and Australia, 10 months. Then we have Mr. Nelson Gaming Culture, my co-host, been here for 9 months. And then, of course, Talgeezy, who's been a member for 2 months. And Talgeezy's dope. We met playing Marathon, and dude is just cool as shit. Also, I am going to put the link to my Discord here on the chat, and I'm going to pin it for you guys. Come join our Discord. It is a great way for you to talk to me, Nelson, and basically everybody you hear on this podcast. It is a great way to reach out to me basically 24/7. I'll respond when I wake up, but one-on-one conversations with a whole bunch of other great gamers. I will give you a heads up. If you have thin skin and get offended easily, don't join. Okay? Stick to the video, stick to the podcast, because it gets wild in there. But we are all gamers at the end of the day. And look, we don't persecute anybody. We got blacks, whites, lesbian, gays. We have it all in there, FYI. So it's not like we only accept a certain group of people. We accept everybody. As long as you're a gamer, we don't give a fuck. And that is what I'm trying to say with the Discord is we don't care where you come from. Just come in there to talk about gaming. That's it. But there's the link right there. I'm also throughout the stream, I will be putting up some other links in the chat. Please, guys, go click on those links and go subscribe to these guys. These guys are out here putting in the work, putting in the content for you guys to watch, not just to entertain you, but to inform you, to give you a difference of opinion. And I don't agree with them all, but I always love hearing them because they bring something new to the table every single time. So keep an eye out for our guest that I'm going to introduce in just a second. His link will be coming up shortly, and please go on over there, hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you stay up to date. But now that we have about 20 people, let's get this party started. What is up, gamers? It is Will 777JP, and we are here on this beautiful Sunday evening. And boy, oh boy, do we have some things to get off our chest. But first, let me introduce our special guest. I want to give him a huge shout out for coming in here at the last minute that I invited him, or Nelson invited him, and he accepted graciously. So I am so appreciative. But that is Mr. Preacher. Preacher, let them know, man, how you been, what you've been gaming on, and also where they can find you while I go look for the link.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Appreciate the invite. Definitely going to be on more. You know, Nelson and Will graciously invited me more regular, so you hope to see you a little bit more. Now you can come check me out on the channel, The Pews. You know, we love to talk about all the inflection points in gaming, and there are so many right now, so much going on. So if you like having those kinds of conversations, definitely come on down and check us out, and definitely give a look to keep on supporting Will's content. You know what I mean? It's more important now than ever, and check out Nelson's content. And, you know, I know there's a couple guys in here in the chat that also do content
check out
as
my
well,
shorts,
so.
man. I picked up so much stuff this weekend. It's crazy.
Yes,
I just unpacked a 360. I got a bigger hard drive 360 today. I got a slim Wi-Fi built-in 250 gig, and I picked up, I don't know, 40 or so games. I did like 8 pickups this weekend. Yeah.
You see, and that's the kind of stuff that's important to support. If you care about physical media, you know what I mean, and you want to make sure that that stays important, support that kind of content, support actual physical media and stuff, and, you know, put the money where the mouth is. This one for sure.
Facts.
So,
And
yeah.
there, I've just posted Preacher's link to his channel. Go over there, go check it out. I have the Discord invite pinned to the chat, so anybody who comes in and out can just click on there and join us over there. But Preacher, man, what you been gaming on recently? I know you've been playing Marathon for a while now, but are you still playing Marathon? What has Marathon done new in the last couple weeks, if you are playing it, that people may not know about?
Well, Marathon's been pissing me off in the last couple of weeks, so that they might not know about that. Yeah, nah, I'm playing Marathon regularly. I still play with my boys. We definitely got to get a couple in for sure. But I really do Bungie, man. That's something I think, I don't know. I don't think that had fully come to pass last time I was around. That was sort of but you know, they lost all those developers, and I gotta tell you, man, like, to begin with, Marathon is kind of like the worst optimized live service game I've ever played. Like, and I say that very seriously. I've never played, and now I do play a fair amount of these live, and it's just really bad. You know, every day something weird is going on with that game. And I love playing it. The game is fun. The new content they put in is sort of lacking, to be honest. And you hear that in the community, those complaints. But the core gameplay is fun. Kind of pair that up with everything else, it's a little bit hard to have faith in Marathon right now. And a lot of that by Bungie's own hand, not necessarily, you know, PlayStation's continued failings in the live service section. You kind of got to look at Bungie on this one and be like, how did it end up in this state sometimes?
Yeah,
but,
I think they pocketed that cash and didn't give a shit.
Well, no, that's exactly what they did, because they got $1 billion for employee retention, and a year later they fucking lay off a whole bunch.
They'd have other issues in their game, you know what I mean? But as far as stability and fucking frames and all that kind of shit, that was never an issue. They might have some glitches or something, but
yeah, it's just weird glitches and like bad like balancing and just shit will go. Like, for example, right? You end game content, which is Cryo 5. You bring all your best stuff to Cryo, and like it's just broken with this specific gun, the Mizraya, and like everybody's running around with they're called Mizzies and gold shields, and it's just causing huge problems. And it's like, y'all gonna do something about this? And now they can do even less. Like you're asking them to do more with less people than ever. So it's an interesting spot to be in for them. You know what I mean? I can only root for them and keep playing the game, but it's they've put themselves in quite a spot. They put themselves in quite a spot for sure.
You know, I've been talking about this for such a long time. Bungie just needs to shut the fuck up and go make a single player narrative driven game with an option for online co-op. And if it's successful enough, then you can start building off that into a live service component. But until then, you need to go back to basics, my boy. You have pissed off the Destiny crowd. You have pissed off. And the thing, you know, and look, we're going to talk about PlayStation and Xbox in just a second, about physical gaming. But I also want to blame the gamers, okay? Because and I also blame the physical gamers to an extent in regards to the physical thing, which I'm included in that, right? I'm a huge physical gamer. You guys all seen my collection. But, you know, for so many years, and once again, I'm not to pat myself in the back because I took a lot of heat for this. Over the last 2.5 years, I've been extremely critical of PlayStation, right? I went from a customer who, oh shit, PlayStation dropped a new controller today, new color wave. I'm gonna go get that. Oh shit, PlayStation bought, put out new plates, different color. I'm gonna go get that. And I did that basically the first half of the generation as a supporter of the console and of PlayStation. My way of thinking is if I like you and I want to support what you're doing, I'm going to support you the best that I can. Doesn't mean that I go broke in doing so, right? It's not like when you go to the strip club with your last $100, you still owe your rent and shit. You just give it to the stripper hoping that she'll give you her real name. No, I can afford it, so I'm gonna do it. Yeah, no, she loves me. She don't like me. She loves me. Yeah. But I can afford it, so I do it, and I enjoy it because I get something of quality in return. But I stopped all that about 2.5 years ago because I didn't like the way that PlayStation was heading. They were focused on live service. I'm not a live service gamer, okay? And just up till the last state of play that they did, I had a talk with the boys where I said, you know what? I just have to come, and over the time I've went down and down and down as my support goes. Now I only support what needs to be supported, absolutely necessary in order to continue right what I have. But I had a conversation with the boys after the state of play, and I was just like, I just have to admit that the games that they're making is not for me. I am no longer the type of gamer that they are making games for. And it sucks, right? Because we are gamers. This isn't watching a movie that we really love, right? You watch a movie for an hour and a half, 2 hours, you love it, and you quote it and you think about it. You may rewatch it again. You want to show it to your friends and family, but after X amount of time, you kind of move on and you find another movie you love. Gaming is similar, but it's different in the way that you're not spending 2 hours in that motherfucker. You're spending 10, 20, 50, 100, 200, shit, some people 1,000 hours, depends on the game, right? So how many of you guys started playing a game and it's 4th of July? Next thing you know, it's your auntie's birthday a few weeks later and you're still playing the game. Next thing you know, it's, a month later and it's your fucking baby mama's baby shower for the new baby daddy that's now your BFF because you're a pussy. And all of a sudden you went through 5 or 6 different important family things and you still been playing the same fucking game. So years later, when you look back at that game and you pick it up, which by the way, that's kind of like the topic of the video that I posted earlier today, so go check that out. You're like, damn, when I was playing Destiny heavy, I went to my, cousin's 27th birthday party at the restaurant and we had a good time. And I had parent teacher conference and that's when I had to ground my kid for 2 weeks. And he said, fuck you, dad, for the first time. Like, damn, all these things happen during Destiny. You know what I mean? So that is the way that games kind of differ themselves in other forms of media because they do take such a long time to compete. So to say that we shouldn't be emotional for the poor decisions that they make is completely ignorant. And I think that's going to be the big topic of discussion in today's podcast because there is so much aggression against physical gamers from the and I want to make sure I say this correctly because it's not all digital gamers, but from the all digital gamers that support PlayStation killing physical. Okay, I hope you guys understood that. Not all digital gamers, but from the digital gamers that support Sony killing physical. And even some physical gamers you can throw in there. And I'm so glad that I have the panel. I'm so glad that I have the chat to pick y'all brains and see where we leave with that. But I'm so sorry to cut you off, Preacher. Thank you so much for letting the chat know what you've been playing, the things that Budgie been pissing you off on. We'll dive into that a little bit more. But I also want to give an introduction to the co-host, Mr. Nelson Gaming Culture. Nelson, blab everything you want to blab out.
Oh, just what I've been playing. Fucking played a little bit of Mouse PI. I just got that yesterday. Haven't been home much this weekend. Won't be home much this next weekend. Won't be home much this summer, to be honest with you. But what else did I play? Played some Resident Evil 6 with you. I played a little bit of, what was it called, Warhammer Dark Tide.
Keep my name out your motherfucking mouth.
What else?
Shit.
Will Smith that ass. I'm sorry to cut you off. Sorry.
And then Helldivers and Gran Turismo. I always do my couple runs. I'm trying to get enough cash for the next war bond right now. So I'm
You
just
want
trying
to tell them about your
$2
pickups?
bills. Oh yeah, I picked up. I don't know how many games I picked up this weekend. You're gonna have to go to my channel and look. I had like six different pickups with like between 15 and somewhere 1 game, somewhere 15, somewhere 10, somewhere.
So you hold on. So you're getting chatty when interrupting people, but now that you got the floor, you don't want to be chatty. That's what's going on.
Yeah, I know. It's a lot more fun to rate on you.
To be rude. It's a lot more fun to be rude. That's what you're saying. Preacher, that's what he's saying, right?
He's pushing the advantage, man. He's pushing the advantage. I like it. I like it. He's keeping everybody on their toes.
Okay. But look, I put Nelson's link to his channel right there as well. Go check him out. He's got a couple.
All my pickups are my shorts. I also put stuff with my kids and stuff in it, and stuff we're doing on the weekends. Because, to be honest, that's why I made the channel, was so this is kind of morbid, but if something ever to happen to me, my kids would have stuff to look back on and enjoy my hobbies and shit with me. So.
No, that's real, man. That's real. This stuff is enshrining, you know what I mean? It's a really interesting point of time.
I get hit with a car or something like that. Like, I'm not a person who takes a lot of pictures. Like, they can go back and, you know what I mean? Enjoy my shit with me, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's real, man. That's real. That's thoughtful of you, man.
That's why you'll see us going bowling and the races and whatever else we're doing a lot. So.
Oh yeah, man.
Go follow Nelson over on his channel, guys. I just put the link up. Now, let's get this party started, man. We got the chat jumping. The chat is talking all sorts of things that are right and some misconceptions. And I want to start the chat off, or the conversation off, by talking a little bit about what PlayStation did, not last week, but the week before. We're going on 2 weeks now. And just kind of recap that real quick. And basically, PlayStation made an announcement that they're ending physical video games by 2028. So we have about 537, I think, or 38, 36, somewhere around there, days left before that happens. According to reports, is if developers and publishers have printed a physical copy of their game before 2028 ends, they can continue to print physical games. They have only talked about the one plant that they own. They're going to shut down like 90% of the physical production and only keep about 10% up and running. They got a $34 million restructuring plan for this plant. And, you know, that stuff is already kind of approved and in motion. But physical isn't going away completely, but there is a deadline of when you can print these games in order to continue to reprint them. Now, a little bit of history for you guys, because I think there's another misconception, which is where the Xbox part comes in, which would probably be the biggest part of the conversation, is people make comparisons with PlayStation with their ending of physical versus PC being all digital and Xbox being all digital, and even Nintendo having their key cards, which is basically all digital too. But the difference between PlayStation and Xbox and PC and everybody else is PlayStation touches every single physical copy that goes on their console. Xbox does not. Meaning, if you are a publisher that has a game you want to publish on Xbox, all you have to do is go through the regular processes of getting that game on Xbox. But as far as printing the physical copy of that game, you don't got to talk to Xbox for anything. They just say, hey, this is what it's got to be, blah, blah, and that's it. They're not in charge of production. They're not in charge of materials. They're not in charge with none of that shit. PlayStation, on the other hand, is. As a matter of fact, you have to call PlayStation in order to place an order of physical games that you want to publish, and PlayStation handles the rest. So when we talk about, oh, Xbox went all physical, nobody gave a shit. Yeah, because anybody could still make a game for Xbox and make a physical of it. What PlayStation is doing is they're completely getting rid of everybody making physical games for PlayStation. And let's also be real. PlayStation has over 150 million gamers out there that are in their ecosystem between the PS4, PS5, PS3, PS Vita, all that shit. Xbox, look, man, we've been saying they have 30 million consoles sold for how fucking long now? It feels like this whole generation's been, they sold 30 million.
They're selling them by the dozen, not by the hundreds of thousands.
So it is way, way different when we talk about PlayStation ending physical versus anybody else ending physical. And Nintendo does the same thing. Nintendo, every cartridge that gets made for Nintendo, these companies have to contact Nintendo to get permission and get made. That's why the whole key card thing is so popular. It's because Nintendo controls the manufacturing, Nintendo controls the pricing, and if Nintendo says the key cards are too expensive, who is a publisher to argue with them and say, no, they're not? I can get them done cheaper, because if you did, you still couldn't publish the fucking game on Nintendo until Nintendo says yes. So if Nintendo says they're expensive, then they're expensive. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Discs have always been cheap. They've always been cheap. I have given you guys multiple examples of actual developers who have went out and said, yo, these discs aren't expensive to make. So PlayStation saying it's a cost-cutting measure, it's not. Now, true, these developers don't sell millions of copies, but even more so, I think that beefs up the argument. But real quick, before I pass it on to Preacher and Nelson, I want to go ahead and read this article real quick that I have pulled up here. And the title is PlayStation reportedly didn't tell publishers or partners it was killing physical discs. And I'm not going to read the whole thing. I just want to read a little bit of it, even though the article's not that long, by William D'Angelo over at VG Charts. PlayStation last week announced it is ending physical game disc production for all new games released on PlayStation consoles starting January 2028. Starting in January 2028, all new games released on PlayStation consoles on the PlayStation Store and at retailers will be in digital formats only. Sources familiar with PlayStation plans, speaking with High Chaos Run, have claimed PlayStation did not warn publishers, business partners, or even branches in other markets ahead of the announcement. An executive at a major AAA publisher told the site, quote, despite our seemingly close working relationship with PlayStation, we weren't informed this was happening. It's only hitting us now that we may be out of jobs sooner rather than later. And this is the part that I really want you guys to hear. PlayStation India operations were not told about this change, and at the time of the announcement, were negotiating deals with local distributors and retailers to invest in and set up exclusive PlayStation brick and mortar stores with a goal of having around 100 of these in India by 2028. And here's the quote. Why would we even work with PlayStation, let alone invest a couple of crores, I think that's their money, on a store when they won't be selling disc, said an investor. What's worse is PlayStation India didn't even tell us this was happening before it went public, but kept asking us to put money in all the same. They didn't know either. Guys, what this is saying is PlayStation made this decision didn't tell anybody, including their partners, including their own company, mind you. PlayStation India is PlayStation. That's like you walking into work and the CEO and all upper management works on the 4th floor and they make a big decision that affects everybody. And you are about to meet up with a client to buy your product. And you both look down at your phones and the news says that your company is no longer selling that product that you're selling. Like, they didn't even bother sending a fucking text message to their coworkers to say we're ending physical in 2028. Preacher, what do you think of this report, and what do you think of this information that PlayStation didn't even bother telling their own people that they're ending physical games?
I think that's very PlayStation. I think that's very PlayStation, and part of me thinks that's why the a lot of backlash, while well deserved, isn't really going to result in physical games making a significant comeback anytime soon. You know what I mean? Now, when people, because people have been saying, there was a chance PlayStation would go away from physical games, and even before all this happened, and I always said, as we all know, PlayStation makes a little piece off of every Blu-ray made. You know what I mean? So that's not just every Blu-ray sold on PlayStation. That's every physical game sold on Xbox. You know what I mean? They have a financial reason to stick with that and make sure that physical is viable, right? If they are saying it's not worth doing, I don't necessarily. Now, part of it is definitely a greed play and a bid for more control, but you would think that the raw dog kind of just outweigh that. And if they're saying it isn't, I think that this is more of an issue of. It becomes more of an issue of rights, because we see that people aren't really on the physical as much. You know what I mean? So again, it's kind of hard to be like, yeah, PlayStation, you have to keep making discs if it's at that loss, And I think the problem again is more the way that they're handling it, and more the way there's so many clear ways to give people some sort of option and some sort of benefit out of this. If not benefit, physical games. It's just having that option, even if you don't. You're someone like me who doesn't use it, hasn't used it in a generation. Having that option taken away is never good. And as you were saying earlier, if there's people out there supporting PlayStation getting rid of physical games, that doesn't make sense. You're supporting something being taken away from you. You know what I mean? There should be no supporting that at all. But I think that's different than like understanding what's happening here and why it's happening. And even though it sucks, it's like what really sucks is the fact that one, we don't have digital consumer rights, right?
Yep.
This is an issue. My big problem with everybody having the outrage now is this is a problem that we lost in like 2014. You know what I mean? And like when people really start switching over to to digital, that's, you kind of gave away the goose. You have to make these things financially profitable. And to be fair, I think that it is more profitable than Sony is letting on with their numbers. You know what I mean? Or the original like 80% or whatever. I think it's definitely doing more than that. But if they're saying that it's, I think it's something you said earlier too. I don't think the gamer wants to take their, you know what I mean? Y'all are the digital games, not buying the physical. Y'all are not sticking with the protest and buying Black Ops. You know what I mean? Y'all, and it's a we thing, because I'm a big part. I only buy digital. I think that we eventually are going to buy that PS, and we've been asking for price cuts. With price cuts comes sacrifices. That's why I'm a big proponent of I don't mind expensive hardware. I think that there should be tiers, you know what I mean? You can't afford it sucks to say, but if you can't afford a PS6, right? I don't think there should not be a PS6. I think you should not get a it sucks to say that let it be as exorbitantly expensive as it can be, but if you don't allow these things to be those prices, then something is going to get cut. And in this case, I think it came to pass that the disk drive was not going to be PS6. And I think Sony just took that and said, "Fuck it, let's just end all physical games to let's just end it all." They kind of threw the baby out with the bathwater, and I think they didn't anticipate this level of backlash. And the real issue here is that right there, not anticipating this level of backlash and then not responding to it and just not giving a fuck. That
Yeah.
completely destroys their brand cachet. Like, even as somebody like me, I've owned every PlayStation. I enjoy playing on PlayStation. I think it's definitely the best place to play for me. You know what I mean? But I have no brand loyalty to PlayStation. You see how these Xbox dudes will get up here and lie faces for years on end, flip flopping all that, and just cap in the name of the company, even though they've been sucking shit for 2 generations. PlayStation can't do that. PlayStation can't do that. If PlayStation starts failing, if they stop delivering the goods, that's it. Because every time you've taken that opportunity to kind of shit on the community. You know what I mean? And just not give a fuck. So why would people then, extra buy into you if you start lacking or something? And that's why you can't really, while I can't get like as emotionally involved about the decision that they made because I don't them like that. I'm very glad that they're facing this really large wave of backlash because Sony has gotten away with not giving like I don't think that you should ever any company should really talk as much as Xbox just yaps every day about every single thing. But there's it gets to a point, you know what I mean? You actively almost hostile to your customer base. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
especially
In
when
a
you
way
know
that
especially when you know what you're saying, it isn't gonna happen.
Well,
right.
They
the
know that.
other, and you said it right there at the very end, preacher. It's and I'm gonna take it a step further. I'm not gonna say like you said where it's almost hostile. No, it's exactly hostile. It is exactly that. And I know that all digital gamers, or not all digital gamers, but I know that digital gamers who just like you have been just digital this whole time. So, they don't have the same maybe feelings about it, or they don't feel about it the same way that a lot of the physical guys do. And I don't want to throw anybody in one big pile because that's just irresponsible. Then I'm behaving like PlayStation if I do that. But they are they are attacking their player base. And so I agree with most everything that you said. There's just a couple different things that I don't, and not because it's because of the information that's out, right? I think the conversation of physical, that most gamers aren't necessarily pissed off that physical's going away, is because of the digital rights that we don't have. Like, that's the real problem, right? That people keep saying.
Right. And I,
And
I wish that sorry, not to
well,
but I
yeah, go
wish
ahead.
that would be focused. You know what I mean? I want to get behind the movement, right?
Well,
But
that's where I
I can't
disagree.
get behind.
That's where I
Yeah,
disagree.
no,
And the reason
yeah,
I
yeah.
disagree, the only reason I disagree about that is because of PlayStation's hostility. They took, this is what the argument should have been. It's exactly what you brought up. But PlayStation wants to say that it's because of customer or consumer, what is it? Consumer, the way that we've been behaving with our buying purchases, which is, we now know it's a lie. Right. And in front of you guys, I have a chart from you that we got from, what up, Henry? That we got from the Insomniac Leaks. Sackboy 77% of the games sold were physical, 23 digital. Ratchet & Clank, 76% physical, 24% digital. Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut. So mind you, this is PS5 generation. 71% physical, 29% digital. Demon Souls, 70% physical, 30% digital. And the list goes on. Out of 33 games, only 31 sold more digitally than they did physically. So when Preacher and others say the conversation should be about digital rights, they're absolutely right. But unfortunately, the way that PlayStation did this by falsifying the information that people are changing their handle on Twitter to I'm part of the 85. When that number is completely ass backwards. That's a made up number. If you didn't know, now you're learning. That's a made up number. The number isn't 85. It's 85 when you include all the games that never got a physical release. Because when we include games that got a physical release, we have them right in front of you. Majority, if not all of those games sold more physically than they did digitally. So instead of the conversation being about digital rights, PlayStation lying on the numbers, making it seem like we're doing this, is completely hostile. So now it's fuck digital rights. We just want physical. Another thing that PlayStation did that fucked them over is every single physical gamer knows that physical gaming was going to end. We all knew this. This isn't some fucking new information that is catching anybody by surprise. But what we are pissed off about is the timing. You want to give us a year and a half left before you go all digital. Your infrastructure isn't set up for all digital. And then your hubris and your fucking narcissism is leading you to believe that it doesn't matter because gamers will just buy whatever slop we give them. And there was another point that you said, Preacher, that I want to bring up as well. And Preacher, I hope you're not taking this personal, bro. I'm just getting hyped on the stream.
You're
bro.
absolutely right. No, yeah.
But the other thing that I want to bring up is let's take a look at my post that I did today. Here's my post from today. Because Preacher brought up Call of Duty, and I agree with him, FYI. I agree with Preacher when he said that these guys couldn't even control themselves. And they went out and bought Call of Duty digitally for a fucking game that's, I don't know, what, 13 years old or some shit. But here's my post. I said, I caved and bought it too. But I saved 50% on the deal the PlayStation Store was pushing as a great value. Best part is it's mine to keep and do whatever I want with it. And then I share a picture of the eBay link for the dual pack of Call of Duty Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2, where I got both games, 2 discs and 1 case for $15.50. And the description of that case is like new. Okay? So I just bought the 2 games that PlayStation is selling you for $40 combined, $20 a piece, if you are a PS Plus member, for 50% of their 50%. So what Preacher meant when he said is people can't control themselves is he's 100% right, because people see Call of Duty, Black Ops 1, I gotta have it. My dick is hard. Once again, I was in high school and I touched my first titty, but when I was touching my first titty, I had the controller in my hands playing Black Ops 1. So that nostalgia got over them and they went ahead and bought it, right? But the mistake that PlayStation is having here is that games like Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, and GTA 6, these games are unicorns, meaning not every game is going to behave this way. Not every game is going to have the instant pull of getting those sales just like that, just because it drops. It's just not going to happen. So we cannot use these as examples of the physical gamer, saying, well, they bought this game. They obviously aren't, pushing back at PlayStation. We just can't use that. But I do agree with Preacher that you are weak if you did it. Just go on fucking eBay. Look, the game will be here in 2 days. I bought the game yesterday or day before yesterday. $15 for both instead of $40 for two, if you're a PS Plus member. But Preacher's 100% right when he talked about the digital rights thing. That should have been the argument. That should have. But PlayStation is so greedy, so out of touch with their base, that they decided that now is the right time, when they just sold 70 million physical video games in 2025, when we know that the majority, if not all, mind you, only 2 games out of 33 sold more digitally than physical. Otherwise, the other 31 out of 33 sold double digits more physically than they did digitally. Now the argument isn't, well, digital rights. Now it's complete fucking war, because you lied, you falsified the numbers, and then you want to act like I'm the fucking problem because I still buy physical. Also, you can get a 30% increase on your fucking pay. Sorry. I know I was yelling a lot there. But Preacher, and by the way, I don't think PlayStation's going to go back on their decision. I think that the hubris is too high. And it doesn't matter if 1 million people cancel their PS Plus. It doesn't matter if 1 million people fucking don't buy the next PS6. That to PlayStation doesn't matter, because the money difference they're going to make, which is exactly 30%, right? Because if they sell their game at Walmart, let's say Wolverine, well, PlayStation gets 70% of that money because Walmart keeps 30. But now,
15,
all digital,
I think, isn't it?
It depends on retailers. All retailers have a different pricing structure, but I'm using 30% as the biggest example because that's, for a fact, we know that is the most that they're getting. But it could be 15, it could be 20, it could be 18, it could depend on how many units you move. Shit, when I did deals like this, it was the first structure was 100,000, we get 15% of the cut. We sell 300,000, now we bump up to 20%. We sell 500,000, now we're at 20%. So there's different tiers too. It all depends. But now when you funnel everybody to digital, instead of giving Walmart that 30%, now PlayStation keeps 100 because it's their store, their product, right? So they're automatically getting a 30% cut. But Preacher,
and they save on manufacturing.
That's the other thing. Oh, that's what I was
and
going
shipping,
with. So the shipping, manufacturing, the whole system.
Yeah.
Basically,
exactly, yeah.
they're making about 20 to 30 bucks less per physical copy. So they say, which I don't believe. I believe the number is closer to $15 per copy. Based on some information that I was reading, I don't think it's fucking 40 bucks that they're getting for a $70 copy that they sell. That's ridiculous. The this that they pay for, which once again is invented, created, manufactured all by Sony. You're telling me that Sony is paying or charging themselves retail? Of course they are, but just for book-wise numbers. The actual cost of the shit, it's not. Okay, these CDs go penny by the dollar. You can go pick up 20 blank AAA or Blu-ray disc at your local fucking Walmart, right? Well, maybe not Walmart because they don't really have much shit like this, but on Amazon, and you can get a 20 pack for like $8. All right, and you're telling me that PlayStation is charging themselves or charging, more than what I can go buy it for? No. Secondly, the art cover, same shit. It's paper. No more than 10-15 cents per. The most expensive thing here is the shipping. But to give you guys an example, I ship every single day between 5 to 25 pallets of tools, ranging between 100 pounds to 500, 600, 700 pounds. Okay? FedEx, which is who we use, charges me at the most to ship across country on a 100-pound pallet, to give you an example, about $200 to $250. Now, true, PlayStation has to get it from Australia or wherever the fuck they're producing this shit over to United States and different parts of the world. But from New York to LA, I'm paying about $250 to $300 a pallet. That's about 100 to 200 or 200 pounds. So don't sit here and tell me that you are losing $30 per physical fucking copy when these copies all weigh 0.8 ounces. I refuse to accept that. Unless somebody can show me a fucking invoice and the actual numbers, then I refuse to believe it. Because PlayStation isn't the only one making money. Walmart, Target, all these people got to make money. The FedEx driver all have to make money. Everybody, anybody that's involved with the fucking handling of these games has to make money. And if PlayStation is making $40, then where the fuck is the rest of the money to pay all these other people? It just doesn't make any fucking sense. But Preacher, you're right. Now let's go into the part about digital rights, because that is the thing that we should be really, really talking about here. Because even if by some miracle PlayStation goes back and says, you know what, guys, we'll give you the PS6 gen for physical just to get your ducks in a row, right? Which I don't think is going to happen. But let's just say make-believe situation they do. What are some of the things that we should be advocating for as far as digital rights on PlayStation? Because one of my arguments that I have with people who say, oh, I'm still going to buy a PS6 is, why would you stay with PlayStation? Why would you stay with an all-digital PlayStation when PlayStation does all-digital the worst? What would you say to that question that I have, Preacher? And also, what are some digital right things that people should be advocating for if they don't want to be in this physical, let's keep physical fight that the majority of people are in now?
No, those are a lot of good points, man. Ton of good points and a ton of correct and valid points. Like the issue that PlayStation has is that they ceased physical game production. I think, like you said, everybody kind of knew that was on the horizon. It's the way that they did it. You know what I mean? You could have done it so much better, and you made something that was gave people a villain. You know what I mean?
Oh, and also real quick, Preacher, and also it's the timing too. I guarantee you, if they would have come out and said, hey guys, the PS6 will be your last physical console, I guarantee you the pushback wouldn't have been nowhere near this strong. But it's their greed that got into it.
I think the part of the reason that I am of the belief that part of the reason that this is happening, again, it's multifaceted, right? It's undeniable that the company gains a lot by locking down every single purchase of every single game that happens on PlayStation to the PlayStation Store, potentially. You know what I mean? They're getting 100% of revenue from their games. They're getting that 30% cut off of every single game, every single microtransaction. Like, it's a clear benefit to them. And the issue is that they didn't give any benefit to the consumer. That's the issue, is that everybody can see how it benefits PlayStation, and they don't get how they get any benefit. In fact, you've taken something instrumental to gaming, or you haven't really taken, you stopped doing. You know what I mean? And it kind of goes to show how little the other platform holders are really holding sway in that regard. Like, I don't know if Nintendo will continue to do physical, but nobody cares whether Xbox is doing physical or not. They haven't been doing it for years. And to answer the question,
they're going PC. I don't even know why we're having that discussion, honestly.
Yeah, they can't save it. They can't save it. What are they going to do? Start printing the discs, add that cost onto everything else?
Yeah.
No, that's what Sony should do.
Why do you think they've been doing Play Anywhere for years? They're making it so the shit you're buying digital, you'll be able to fucking put right on on the Xbox app. That's all it's gonna be. That's all the Helix is a fucking Windows PC with an Xbox app. Don't get me wrong, that's nice that I can play my Xbox games if I bought it on a PC, but and I would use it. But am I gonna buy any shit from your store? No. So what does it do you any good?
But hold on, because there's another misconception with this shit. Guys, you guys all heard of Xbox backwards compatibility, right? Do you know what that backwards compatibility even is? Because based on Xbox own website, there's only about 500 games that are backwards compatible. But out of those 500 games, there's 30, 40 Call of Duties. There's, 15, 20 different copies of Halo. Another 30, 40 copies of Gears that go all the way back to the Series X.
Yeah, they got different fucking 9 different goddamn NHL games and shit.
Yeah, so when you really look at the numbers, there's really only 100 or so games that are backwards compatible. So even the backwards compatibility that Xbox promotes as something cool, and they don't even promote anymore, it's complete fake. It's just the most popular games ever. I mean, fuck, I've tried Afro Samurai, don't work. I mean, look, I didn't want to get into the list of shit that doesn't work on there. But Xbox coming in to save physical games, it doesn't it doesn't equate, okay? First off, they don't even do. Okay, I'll let Preacher continue before Nelson cut him off. Go ahead, Preacher, man.
No. Both of you guys are right. I mean, like they can't. They're currently sacking their entire like staff and cutting corners and pinching pennies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're crippling id Software. I don't think you're gonna have time to print a bunch of physical discs for your. That's literally the 10%. Like Xbox is like
Where would you put them?
90%.
You know what I mean? It's all this.
Yeah.
It's
They
all it
stopped
is.
printing their physical games years ago. That was years ago.
Yeah.
And that's again, it is further to the point of everybody seeing this coming, and it's the fact that PlayStation did this. I truly believe the way that they did it, and the timing. I feel like it was the 2028.
Nope.
They're basically saying
Preacher, you're
that
cutting
like it's
out.
the end of. Oh,
I think
sorry.
you're too
Can you
far
hear me
away.
again? Let
Yeah.
me see if I can.
No, we can.
Oh yeah. Let me get this out the way real quick. Appreciate it. But yeah, I think it's just the way that they went about everything, because if you and I really do think that because there's just so many layups to this that I'm shocked that I haven't said anything up to this point. That's what's gonna happen, because it's just lack here. And I would be surprised if these are implemented. Like Sony at the end of the day is a hardware company, right? They make a bunch of hardware. They don't just make PlayStations. They make a bunch of hardware. And look at all the peripherals that they have for the PS5 and that they've
Yeah,
had.
but they've been getting rid of all their
generations.
hardware too. They ain't making TVs or nothing no more.
That's true, but they do make a bunch of peripherals for the PlayStation. You have, the controller, the VR controller, the damn.
And
They're
Preacher,
making a monitor now, the speakers. Yep.
let me ask you a question because I talked about this with the Otter Gaming podcast actually, and I was telling them how I went from buying, every play color, every control. I mean, I got like 20 controllers at home. You know what I mean? I had at 1.4 PS5s because whenever I will go buy a game physically, I'm like, oh shit, I'll just pick up this controller. I'll pick up this, HDMI cord. I'll pick up this fucking gift card, blah, blah, blah. A big portion of those were from the hardcore like us. You know what I mean? Who is also the majority physical game buyer? The hardcore.
The hardcore.
So PlayStation is saying we don't want you anymore. That's literally what they're saying. Like you either get with it or you don't. It's whatever. As a matter of fact, their silence speaks even louder because they're not even responding to none of this shit. To them, all this is beneath them. So they're saying we're not responding because we're not changing anything. What you guys want is irrelevant. We're not going to make another statement, at least as of now, because we don't know what things may look like in the future, but at least as of now. So they already lost. Look, I spent thousands of dollars a year on PlayStation alone. Just in the last week, before I cleared out my wish list, because I bought digital games too. It's just I'm 80-90% physical. They already lost out on like $200 for me of games that I would have bought, especially with this new sale up, just for me alone, not including all the other shit. So they're losing, I don't know, $1,500 a year from me. How many other physical gamers are doing the exact same? Where all these peripherals that they bought on a whim.
I spent like $400 on retro shit this week instead of buying new shit.
So yeah, they got the peripherals, but those sales are gonna be hurting too because, you know what I mean?
Well, the reason I say the peripherals is because they make a bunch of hardware. It would take nothing for them to add to the PS5 Pro side attachment that lets you play your discs, right? And that doesn't stop it necessarily.
They don't want to.
Yeah, that doesn't stop necessarily the issue of them not printing discs, right? But it's something that gives you an option that says, "Hey, hardcore."
They already have that attachment. You could even have a USB one that you make specifically for it.
Why not say, well, like the easy layup in my mind would be like, hey, we're stopping the production of physical games, but we know physical games are important. Your PS5 Pro attachment that you bought already for 80 bills and it never goes on sale, it's backwards compatible with the PS6. If you want to play your physical games, here you go, slap that on. But it's just something to say, hey, physical gamer, we see you, and we're not going to completely just spit in your face and walk away.
They won't.
But that's
You know why?
exactly what they did.
Well,
And
they did that because look, PlayStation give us exactly what we're asking for, but it's that they don't want to. They don't want to. They don't want to give us the option. They want 100% going through that digital store. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Just like these reporters have been saying. PR doesn't care of the backlash. They don't care that people are complaining. They're going to continue with their plan. So, yeah, they can do a USB disk drive, but they just don't want to because they want you 100% of the money straight from the digital store.
I think they will. I think they will eventually drop a PS6. I just can't. I would have trouble believing you. That would. I mean, it would really just be a fuck you move to not. It really would be.
Let me ask you a question.
Imagine that they're not going to allow the option.
Do you think PlayStation has a hard time saying fuck you to their customers?
Definitely not. But at the same time,
Yeah,
if you can monetize, you can monetize that base though. You know what I mean?
That's the same way that we had this discussion yesterday.
In the same way that they did V, right? Like it's not for everybody, but for the people who will buy this thing and who will invest in it.
But remember,
you know what I mean? And
we are monetized.
That's not you.
Because they're making $1.5 billion off of us still. They're still selling 70 million copies a year, which, by the way, they sold 70 million physical copies in 2025. They sold like 72 million in 2024 or 71 million in 2023, 70 something million as well. So it ain't like physical is taking a steady dip every year. It's actually almost plateaued. And the crazy part about that 70 million number, which is what I tell people to pay attention to.
Less and less are available every year too.
That's what I'm saying. The number that you want to pay attention to is not the 8515 or any other fucking number. The number you want to pay attention to is how many physical copies are selling on PlayStation every year. Because we've been at 70 million now for basically the whole generation, even though we're getting less and less physical games per year. So you can actually make the argument that the market for physical is growing. Because how are you at 70 million in 2025, same as 2024, even though you're getting less physical games to buy in 2025? It's like if you have a pound of weed in 2024, but then in 2025, you only have half a pound of weed, but yet you're still selling the same amount that you did in 2024 and 2025, your profits are going up. So they are already monetized. You know what I mean? We're already monetized. Yeah. They just don't want it. And that's why I think they won't do it.
I think the idea is that at least the idea from PlayStation would be that it's not necessarily like, I think they just imagine that most of those people who are engaging in physical aren't. Now, this could be a horrible miscalculation on their part. You know what I mean? I think either way they're prepared to lose that base, but I think that which is the problem, right? I think, light of that is an issue that they're just willing to cast off their potentially most hardcore base, right? But I think the idea is from them that it's not, people aren't as married to physical as to not buy the games. You know what I mean? I think that I think they imagine a lot of them just get over it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well,
I don't think it's necessarily bending over. I feel like because again, physical media, now it's definitely not the numbers they're saying, like made mention of, you know what I mean? They're definitely trying to obscure that for their own benefit.
Yeah.
But I think most people still, you know what I mean, in large fashion are engaging with digital for the most part. You know what I mean? I think that's the average gamer, and I think that's probably making a lot of the vast majority of their money, right? And again, we cannot downplay the fact that this is in ways a bid for control. But again, I just feel like if they would have done it differently, it wouldn't have incurred as much backlash as it does now that, you know, you add the emotionality to it because of the way that you've treated the customer. And it's like you made it a war. You made it again, you gave people a villain to look at and be like, hey, you're doing this bad thing, responding to it poorly. I don't know how anybody PR has a job. Your answer was to just fuck off for 6 days. I don't know how that gains a paycheck in that time, but I think again the issue and really the issue is with PlayStation doing this. It's not just the poor way that they handled the communication with fans and have been handling communication with entire generation over a many number of issues, but it's also the fact that, like you said earlier, they don't have the digital infrastructure for this. Your return policy is non-existent. Your digital storefront go like for a month. For some reason, every time I would go on to the PlayStation Store, it would just crash. You know what I mean? It's full of slop. You know, they have to remove shovelware by the thousands every couple months. You have no sort of technical support. If you've ever had the unfortunate woes of having to talk to PlayStation technical support, it's an awful mess. Like, definitely not, definitely not the person for the all future and completely shutting down any chance of, going down physical pretty much or
So
returning to physical.
something that I've learned over the last week on my channel, and it's kind of blown my mind a little bit. So I've gotten a huge influx of people subscribing and just talking about gaming. And the biggest thing that surprised me is how many people are at the bare minimum, right? Bare, because I've had all sorts of extreme comments, but at the bare minimum, they have the seed of doubt in them about PlayStation and are already looking at alternatives. So, for example, one of my most
I
top
already did.
comments in one of my videos that I posted recently is I posted a video about how to preserve your PlayStation digital games as best as you possibly can. And I saw so many comments saying, what do you know about Steam and how we can preserve the games on there?
You can't.
Who asks questions like that but physical gamers? Another question that I get is, can you make a video on Switch PC and the difference, or I'm sorry, Switch key cards and the difference between a disc that needs internet to install? So what I'm trying to say is that the gamers themselves are asking questions that only physical gamers would ask, because when you're a digital gamer, you're not necessarily thinking about preservation and you're not necessarily thinking about ownership, which are huge in the physical game community. Those are, I mean, Black Flag just released. So, I mean, go check the comments on that video. I would say 80% of them were, I can't believe you bought this bullshit. The game's not on the disc. Ubisoft sucks. They've been doing this all
They do
generation.
suck.
Just everything is a
They do
revolving
suck.
around the physical copy of that game not being a true physical copy of that game. So what PlayStation did is, and then Nate said this, they created a situation where people are now starting to look at alternatives, and also people are already taking action. Shout out to Lydell. He just showed us a video on the Discord yesterday, I think it was, or the day before, of a customer of his who went to Walmart and had 20 something physical video games that he cashed them out on. A regular middle aged guy went to Walmart and bought as many physical games as he could. I really think that people are underestimating physical gamers and their reaction to this news. I really do think. Now, is it enough to cause a backlash and for PlayStation to reverse? No, not because their business won't go down, because I think their business will. But I think that PlayStation, mind you, this is the generation where they've made the most money ever in the company's history, combined, right? Combined. Not that they beat the PS4 by a little bit, or they beat the PS. What? No, combined, and their hubris and greed is to a point that they're willing to throw away. And this is the worst part. And this is what I tell digital gamers: is look, whether you like to think physical gamers are the ones under attack here, we're not. We are just the kickoff. We're just the first shot. They're really going after you, the digital gamer, because we know the digital gamer spends more per game than a physical gamer. We know that you can control pricing on the store, which they've been with the whole fluctuating pricing. They're going after you.
You're only going to have one door, and they're going to have the key to it.
That's it. They're going after you specifically. They are willing to get rid of a whole section of their customers to get to you. That is scary to me. I use the I'm fucking bad, bro. I use the example of digital gamer. This is the scenario. You are about to go into a fucked up, raggedy looking house that has a nice ass paint job, but the inside is dirty roaches. You are a bad bitch, young, 23 years old, wearing a skirt so low that if you sneeze, they'll be able to see your pussy. Okay? You have a tube top with double D titties. Just you breathe the wrong way, then titties are popping out, and the most beautiful face you ever seen in your life. That's you, the digital gamer. You're that girl. And you are about to walk into a room that only PlayStation has the key in with a guy.
I'm feeling fixed up. Yeah.
That is the situation I'm trying to put them in. Like, that is the way that PlayStation sees you. They are just waiting to take advantage of you, because what's something the digital gamer hasn't had to worry about too much is pricing. Because in the back of their mind, whether they admit it or not, they always know that at the end of the day, if this game is $80 and the physical is $40, I'll fucking buy a disc drive, pop it in that bitch, and go buy all my games physical moving forward. Guess what? That option is getting pulled from you. No more. And that's it. This is the only way of buying the game. I also have spoken about, if physical games were selling so poor, why do we have online retailers that are still in business, that are opening up new businesses? For example, Lootbox Gaming, they just opened up in 2025.
Lewis's Game Shop just expanded their fucking gaming section.
Why are these guys that
huge.
sell physical video games keep growing, keep expanding? GameFly, been around for 30 years. GameStop, $8 billion cash on hand. They try to buy eBay cash.
Have cash.
And the physical, or some of the digital gamers will say, yeah, but they've been closing stores
they give
down.
me 12 cents a game.
It's like, my guy, who the fuck hasn't had to adjust in the shitty economy? You see, people want to rearrange things to fit their narrative, right? But what they don't look at is the simple numbers that explain the story. PlayStation sells 70 million physical copies. They've been doing so consistently for years now. The video game industry is still expanding every single year. This year, $160 billion is what it's supposed to make as an industry as a whole, right? We still have businesses that are strictly surviving off physical sales alone. You see the pictures online. You see people's with a whole room, walls full of physical video games. But yet you believe PlayStation when they tell you that majority of gamers are all digital? It just doesn't make any sense to me. And that's the biggest problem that the digital gamer who doesn't care about the situation has. They really think it doesn't affect them until it happens. And then what? Right now, you still have options. Right now, you can still move around a little bit. What happens in the PS6 era, 20 years from now, when they got to shut that store down? All those games go away. There's no, I got to buy a physical copy of that game, because it doesn't exist.
Right.
All that art is completely gone.
Yeah, the licensed games, forget it. That's
Yeah.
another thing. What happens? They close the PS3 store, no big deal. There's copies all
Yep.
over the place, right? What happens when they close the PS6 store?
Poof.
You ain't never seeing that shit again. Like
Poof.
fucking puff in the wind.
W2
Yeah.
report. I haven't even dove into the secondhand market. I haven't even broken into that part of the conversation yet. This is all new games that we're talking about here. Loot box gaming don't sell no pre-owned games. It's all brand new games. What's the rental place that I just mentioned that does physical? Gamefly.
Gamefly. I used to use it.
Gamefly, their whole business is renting the new games that they buy. They sell pre-owned games, but after they use them up, meaning nobody's really renting them anymore, then they'll sell you those copies, which by the way, they're great condition. If the game came with like a DLC code, when you buy that pre-owned game, you get that DLC code unused, ready to go. I just got but last year I got the Carmen Sandiego like deluxe edition from Gamefly for like $20, and it came with the map, it came with the DLC codes. I mean, it's like getting it brand new, except without the plastic. So go check out Gamefly to buy your pre-owned games, guys. They're way better than GameStop. The only thing is their sales aren't so consistent that's like GameStop. GameStop has a sale every 2 weeks or a month or 2 weeks. Gamefly does a sale basically 4th of July, Black Friday, those kind of holidays. But we're not even including the secondhand market. And if PlayStation is so worried about the secondhand market, which is the market that it's a market that has also been super beneficial to PlayStation for so many different reasons. I would say the biggest one, in my opinion, is how many games have we bought just because the art cover looked cool and you find out it was made by, I don't know, Sucker Punch or whoever, and now you're buying their next game brand new because you enjoyed that pre-owned game that you got for $12. Right? That's one of the benefits. But
not to mention getting new customers in. Like
people
like us are getting old and shit like that. When kids don't go into a store and see that shit, out of sight, out of mind, dude. Like,
yep. And the other thing too is
if you don't see it, if you don't see something in person, it don't exist.
You gotta draw there to it now.
You do. And the other big thing that people also are seem to forget with the whole is with the physical game, just gaming in general, is what happens when the video game industry gets into trouble, right? They turn towards us. It's always been that. It's always is us. And not everybody, but we're talking about this console generation in specific. What I mean by that is our studio is we made a game and it's not selling well. Okay, then we'll charge more for the DLC. Live service came out, it bombed. Well, the gamers, bombed it on social media, so therefore it failed. The point is that they're always blaming the consumer, the customer, for not acting on whatever product they're pushing out. They're going through such a hard time and have to lay people off. Look, it's sad. I'm not making fun of that whatsoever, but they're always laying people off. It's such a bad time. It's so bad, all while the 2026 numbers are already looking to outpace the 2025 numbers as a whole. How about instead of raising the price and that be your first instinct, you take a look at yourself and say, why do we have 14 writers? Why do we have, 17 managers?
Why do we have 17 HR people?
Yes. When Asha Sherman came out with that statement last week, I gave her huge props because she said the one thing out loud that nobody ever in the video game industry speaks out about. And she said, we're trying to streamline something along the lines of we're trying to streamline from the developer to management because we got 14 layers, right, of management in between the question or the problem to the decision maker, right? Hello, what do you think you think these people are making $20 an hour? Fuck no. If there's 14 layers of management, you think a manager is only going to make fucking 45 grand a year? 14, let's say they all make 100 grand each. That's $1.4 million just on those 14 people. But that's the thing
that's just salary. That's not including
benefits and everything else.
And fucking benefits and the cost to just do business, because there's a cost to you no matter what you do. Like what Will does is he's pretty low cost because he pays for his own electricity and all that kind of shit. But
so when we have problems in the video game industry, it's always the customer that has to pull out the checkbook and bail them out of it. They never ever do the hard thing except once a year when they lay off a whole bunch of people, which once again isn't because they're losing money. It's just because they want to make more than they made last year to show the investors that they're on the uptick. Microsoft isn't losing money. They just want to show the investors that they're on the uptick. And what's the fastest way to do that? You get a whole bunch of people laid off, and that automatically gives you a pay bump. What is PlayStation doing now? They're getting rid of physical because that automatically is going to give you a pay uptick. But what happens now when those guys like me, who not only want to go buy Wolverine Day 1 physical, but is now picking up an extra controller. Oh, I'm already here. Let me buy an extra HDMI cord. Let me buy a PlayStation licensed external hard drive. Let me buy a gift card so I can buy DLC. What are you going to do when even 1 million of us leave and now don't buy these things? I bought 3 PlayStation headsets this generation. I bought PSVR 2. I bought everything that PlayStation has to offer up until 2 years ago.
We're the type of people that people at work ask too, like, "Oh, I'm thinking about getting my kid for into gaming or something like that. What do you recommend? What would you recommend?" Yeah, exactly. They don't ask the guy that, "Oh yeah, I play games 2 or 3 times a year." They don't ask those people. They ask me walking in with a fucking PlayStation keychain, you know what I mean, and fucking a video game shirt on, fucking Mario or some shit.
And to answer a little bit more of the question of the general market, right? What's the general market reaction? They're probably going to end up buying the PS6, right? I wouldn't be so sure. I thought that same thing on July 1st, because on July 1st, I was defeatist mentality. I was more of the mindset of, yeah, it's over, it's done. I mean, there's nothing we can do about it. It wasn't until like later that day or the next day that I actually kind of snapped back to reality. Not that I think they're going to go back, but you know what? I'm going to make their life a living hell, and I'm going to comment on every post that they make. I'm going to cancel my PS Plus. I'm going to do everything that I can do outside of hurting myself, because if you're out here selling your PS5 and your collection for what? You're not hurting anybody. PlayStation already got your money off that. As a matter of fact, you're just hurting yourself. You're the one taking the hit. Just stop supporting them and giving them more money. Don't buy the PS6 unless they change their ways. You know what I mean? But over the last week, especially this weekend, I went to a family dinner yesterday, Saturday.
Which Sanji posted something in the Discord. I don't know what this is about. Crypto news.
Okay, well, we're in a stream. I'll take a look at it when I can. I'm sorry. Oh, you know what? Let's stop. Well, let's stop the fucking stream. Let's take a look at Discord right now.
Oh, Sanji just kicking around.
There we go. Let's just stop what we're doing. Sony gains conditional U.S. approval for Stablecoin Trust Bank. I don't know what Sony Group has received conditional approval from the U.S. Office of the Controller of the Currency to establish a trust bank dedicated to issuing and managing a dollar-backed stablecoin, according to a report by Banking Dive. The subsidiary named Connection Trust will operate under Sony Financial Group and is expected to be established this month with a $40 million in initial capital. Okay, so what the OCC approval means for Sony's stablecoin plans. The conditional charter allows Sony to move forward with preparations to launch the stablecoin business by 2027. However, specific product details and target customer segments have not been disclosed. A notable condition attached to the approval gives OCC the authority to require Connection Trust to appoint a full-time CFO who cannot hold other. Okay, what is matters? What is a fucking a digital money? Sony's entry to stablecoin space represents a significant move. Major technology, entertainment, like digital finance approval signals regulators are willing to engage. Conclusion: Sony's conditional approval marks a pivotal step in bridging traditional finance with digital assets. Okay, so
they're going to go to digital currency.
I guess so. Okay, great. But how the fuck does that affect me right now? They should have had a plan in place. If this is their plan, they should have mentioned something before. Look, this is the big problem that we're discussing about right now. And I'm gonna have to read that article later and dissect it and research stablecoin and everything else. I can't do that on the fly when we have 40 people listening to us. That is the problem with fucking PlayStation, guys. It doesn't fucking matter if Sony's going to create digital currency so we can buy, sell, trade our digital games. So everything that we buy is ours to keep. That stuff
That's the
is
thing about
out of
digital
the fucking
content too. With a
question right
console,
now.
they could never promise ownership because if they go out of business, all them and they don't control those licenses either. Nobody's gonna knock on your door and take a disc. But it's not PlayStation's decision that those movies went away. That was third party. That thing either got bought and voided contracts, or they went out of business, or whatever.
But even if they did come out with all these, rights tomorrow, it would make them the
You can't
best.
promise rights if you don't that you can't keep, because if the PlayStation is no longer viable, what are you gonna do? They went out of business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't. The way GOG does it is on PC you can give people the executables, so you have all the files. You
Yes.
figure out a way to launch them.
So even if
different.
PlayStation did that for you, there is still so much work that has to be done. I mean, they have to come up with a system in order to train. Because remember, a PS5 is still a PS5 at the end of the day. It's not a fucking PC. There's only so much you can do on that motherfucker, which is the allure for people like us. We don't want to be fucking around with, whatever settings and shit like that. Like, that's the reason I don't buy games on GOG, even though they're supposed to be mine. I don't fucking know shit about files and downloading them and how to fucking rewrite them to print them on a fucking disc to store them in my
that's why
bank.
I'm a console player. I just want to hit the button and fucking go
fucking
beep
play.
and fucking sit down and play.
But
Amen.
the thing that, so let's talk a little bit about, the reaction from gamers and the possibility of the future PlayStation, because I think this is another important task that we have to discuss. And thank you, W2 Report, for sharing that. We'll make a video out of that later. But, Preacher made a point about the casuals and how they're going to react, right? And we already talked about the numbers, right? Guys, 76% of all God of War sales were physical. This isn't 76% of the hardcore. This is 76% of all the games sold. Yesterday, I was with my cousin who's a casual gamer. He plays Call of Duty, GTA, and God of War. And Spider-Man. Those are his games. That's it. He doesn't play anything else. And guess what he has? A physical for God of War. He's got a physical for Spider-Man, which I actually sold it to him so I can get the collector's edition. And he's got a physical of GTA, but he's got a digital copy of Call of Duty, and he buys that every year digital because that's the game he plays the most. So therefore, why get up and change the disc when that's the game he plays, every week? And PlayStation wants to take that one game by that one person and say, see, we sold 20 million copies of Call of Duty. We got to make money here. We get to keep 100% of that money if it's a first party title. Therefore, we got to get rid of physical. But this 85 number that they're picturing doesn't include that my same casual cousin bought Spider-Man physical, God of War physical. So I asked him, what do you think about the PS6 and PlayStation not doing physical? He said, I don't know what I'm going to do yet. Wait, what do you mean you don't know what you're going to do yet? You've been buying PlayStations your whole fucking life without a doubt. Like I don't know what I'm going to do yet. You don't even know how to spell Xbox. And what do you mean you don't know how to do yet? But that right there, whether he buys a PS6 or not, it's irrelevant. Because just him saying that, just him saying, I don't know what I'm going to do yet, PlayStation already has him saying that instead of, yeah, I can't wait for the PS6 and for whatever games are going to come out. Guys, that is huge. He still has a year at a minimum before the PS6 comes out, right? In the event it comes out in late 2027. I think it'll come out in November 28. It'll be the 8 years like every other console. But he still has a year. What, you think his thoughts aren't going to be in his head for a year? You think he's not just going to hit me up one day and be like, hey, bro, what do you know about PC? Or what do you know about Nintendo? Or what do you know about Xbox? That's a year that he's going to have to ask questions, do research, and somebody who was a no-brainer PlayStation casual is now going to be digging and finding information. And guess what? Even if PlayStation says, all right, we're going to give you what you guys have always had, it might be too late for him because now he might find out that, oh shit, I can go to CD Keys and get a game cheaper on day one. I didn't know that. Or, oh shit, I can play God of War on PlayStation. Yeah, I may not be able to play the new one, but I can play the old ones that I really love on PlayStation. Yeah, I'll do that. Now he's going to accrue information that he may not have known before, all because PlayStation wants to make this decision. So I really don't think that things will be moving forward, business as normal. I really think that PlayStation is going to take a hit. It's just, it won't be right now. It's going to be years down the road. And for PlayStation to then want to bust a U-turn and go back, I think it's too late. I really think that this decision is going to screw up PlayStation's business for a long time. Not saying they're going to die or anything like that, but I think that if they kill physical, this will be the last console generation for a long time that they will sell over 100 million consoles. And not because of price and not because of whatever. It's because of this decision that leads into all the other decisions that they will eventually make, and the ones that they already have that would lead to the first console basically ever, except for the PS3, to not sell 100 million. And my real number in my head is actually less than 80 million. I'm teetering between 70 and 80 million. That's what I think. And that's actually on the high end. I think it can go lower. But Preacher, what do you think about that, man?
That was good, man. You think 70, 80 million total?
Yeah, I think that will be the highest they do on an all digital PS6. My question to people has been, and this has been my question to myself of why I don't want to support PlayStation if they go all digital. It's not because I despise digital. I buy digital games too. But if PlayStation is an all digital platform, they are automatically one of the one who's doing all digital the worst. Why would I stay with them and not go somewhere else that does all digital better? So then the first questions or the first objections to my own question that I had is immediately was hardware. It was, but I love the controller. And then 10 seconds later, I was like, but you can use the controller on PC like you've been doing since this last Christmas when you bought your son a gaming PC. Oh, yeah, I'm right. But Will, not all games are compatible with the PlayStation controller on Steam. Yeah, that's why you also bought the new Steam controller that has the vertical sticks instead, or the horizontal sticks instead of the offset stick like Xbox, which I hate. Oh, yeah. Then I said, but it's the use of access, Will. And then 10 seconds later, it was, yeah, but as soon as you turn the Steam controller on, it puts it in big picture mode, which is exactly like a console. I don't have to fuck with none of the settings. Oh, yeah. But you still have to go in there and change graphics mode. Well, I got to do that on my PS5 too. Oh, yeah. Well, what about the exclusives? Well, yeah, God of War Luffy looks okay, but it's not something I'm dying to play. Wolverine, yeah, it's going to be dope because PlayStation makes great quality action adventure games, but I'm not the biggest, Wolverine game. So it's not like a must play. Marvel Tocom, I'm not a fighter. I don't care. So now my objections or the reasons for me having PlayStation are becoming less and less and less. The other one, and then I started going to the benefits. Well, I still do have Nintendo. Nintendo is expanding on their third-party offerings, especially this console generation. I mean, fuck, I just bought my favorite game this console generation on the Nintendo Switch too, Cyberpunk 2077. Not just that, but Nintendo's online is $35 a year. PlayStation is $80. PC is free. Refund policies, well, I buy my games physical. Nintendo offers physical, so I can just take it back to the store, or I could just contact Steam because they give me 2 hours. So when I start to go down the lines of, okay, why would I stay with an all digital PlayStation outside, right? Outside of physical and ownership and preservation, I can't think of any reasons of why I would want to stay with PlayStation all digital. The best answer that I can think to myself of why is for my friends, which crossplay handles that answer. And the second one is the exclusives. But like I mentioned at the beginning, I just have to come with terms that PlayStation exclusives aren't really being made for me anymore. But there still are a couple. For
Third
example,
party and
Horizon.
second party, you can kiss goodbye too.
Oh my god!
because
And the other thing too,
they're not gonna be doing that shit no more because Xbox is just a PC now.
well, remember this, and I brought this up during the state of play. I was like, isn't it weird that Capcom, who always used PlayStation to show off their Resident Evil games, haven't done that in a couple years? Their Final Fantasy games, they really haven't been doing that, showcasing them on PlayStation stages. Then I also brought up Stellar Blade. How is it that a company like what's their name, Shift Up, right? Shift Up, who PlayStation with Shuhei hand in hand, working with them to get this game done, all of a sudden are doing a sequel and PlayStation is nowhere near involved with at least presenting this game? I don't think that the problems with PlayStation are just that they're greedy. I think that they are on their high horse, that they're not willing to work or go after, right? Not work, but go after third-party publishers like they used to, right? I still remember the deal they made with whoever made
They're not trying to get the leg up on anybody.
on anybody, because they don't have to, because they've been those relationships for those games that we've seen for decades are no longer there. And then when you add all the other shit, that the way they treat their customers, it's no longer there. PlayStation is no longer the same company it used to be. It's all about the money. And there's so many people who don't want to see that. They don't want to see that because they hear God of War and they automatically cannot think outside of that, or they hear Spider-Man and they cannot stop thinking about that. But if you really sit down and focus, okay, what is your favorite PlayStation studio and what is the last game that you played from them? And when was the last game you played for them? That's another question I got too for a lot of y'all. When's the last time you played a new IP from Naughty Dog? You know what I mean? When's the last time you played a new IP from Santa Monica? What, like when you start to ask these questions, yes, exclusives are cool, but even the games aren't what they used to be. And PlayStation knows this. They're doing it on purpose. They're trying to go a different route with them. I
gotta say,
go ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead, man. I'm done yapping.
I gotta say, I think I disagree with a couple. I disagree with a couple of those, but I want to say this was back in the start though. I think it's interesting. I think it'll be interesting to see, like, because Sony, and this is part of why I think they're gonna have that disc periphery, right? What Sony said was that they're done printing discs, right? They're done printing discs for PlayStation.
Yeah.
Not necessarily that you can't play discs on PlayStation anymore, right? If you make that peripheral for PS6, that opens up a lane for a complete like third party market,
but that would be the oxymoron. That would be the oxymoron, because if PlayStation, remember, it's not like Xbox where PlayStation not making physical. It's not just their first party. It's everybody, because they touch everybody. They're the only ones that make the physical game.
But if somebody else makes the physical games, somebody else could just make the physical games,
then that means
if it's a lucrative market, somebody should make it, right?
Yes.
Just like people do with vinyls,
yes,
CDs. You can print those things individually.
But PlayStation is not going to give that license away for somebody else to do it. That's the thing. It's not that PlayStation can't. It's that they just don't want to. They don't want to. They want physical out the window. They don't want you buying physical anymore. They don't want you playing physical. They don't want you buying. They don't want nothing to do with physical. It's not that they can't call limited run games and said, "Hey guys, beef up your shit, because we're gonna hand off the majority of physicals to you. You guys have been doing it for 15 years. You have a customer base. You can, of course, they can do that. They just don't want to do that."
My question is, so maybe I'm just ignorant of the process. But my question is, if you're looking, let's say they do have that periphery, right? That you can play, you can stick a disc into a PS6 with a peripheral, right? Let's just say that for argument's sake. What would stop, say, some indie studio, the next Expedition 33 Part 2, what would stop them from going limited run games and saying, "Hey, we want to make a batch of
PlayStation.
20,000.
PlayStation
What-
stuff. Man.
What they have to have a license on to
Anything that
make
goes
yes.
on their
this?
platform, they have to go
Remember,
through permission.
yes,
You can't
PlayStation.
get a
But
dev kit
that's-
for their shit
that's
without
if
going
they-
through them.
Yeah, but
Play-
that's if they wanted. If that would they completely disallow it. That I don't feel like that's what the thing said. The thing said they were done printing them. I don't
Yes.
feel like
Well-
the issue is they. I don't feel like they're gonna disallow others,
No, they won't. They won't
or they
disallow.
didn't say that at least.
No, they won't disallow anything that's come out previous to 2028. So if you already, and we said this earlier, if you've printed a physical copy of your game before 2028, you can continue to do that. It's just any new
But
game
that's
after
through
2028.
their print. That's
Yes.
through their printing, right? That's through because if you print a game on PlayStation as of now, you have to go through PlayStation to print it, right? But
Yes
if you,
and no, because so PlayStation is the owner of the actual triple layer Blu-ray disc. Remember, PlayStation has invented.
They own a piece of it.
Yeah, they own a piece of
Yeah.
it.
It's owned by
PlayStation-
like 4 companies, like Philips and
yeah, all these guys.
Yeah, it's co-developed.
Samsung's one of them.
Uh-huh. But basically, so let's say I'm a independent guy that has the ability. Let's say I'm limited run games, for example, right? So
Mhm.
if a developer calls me and said, "Hey, bro, we're working on this game. We want a physical copy." It ain't like me limited runs and the developer could be like, "All right, cool. Well, how many you want? How does your art style want to look like?" And then
Yeah,
me
you
and
gotta
him
get
just get
permission
together.
from PlayStation.
We gotta
'cause
get
You
permission.
gotta go through their licensing
You got to go through their licensing, and you also got to get
because
their
it's for their platform.
for their platform. You got to get the stamp of the ROM on there and Blu-ray on the disc. So you could only
But
do
that
that to
doesn't come
PlayStation.
from. Does that go through? So does that have to go through their plant
They
specifically?
have to sign an agreement,
So,
and they get
it
they get a
depends-
royalty.
So for limited, yes, PlayStation gets a royalty. So limited run games does their own printing, but they
That's what I'm
use
saying.
PlayStation's plants, and for smaller games they use their own plants that they can get. Like there's one actually one in North America, in the United States. There's one in Mexico. There's one in France. There's a couple all over the world. But
There's one right by my work.
yeah, there's one in
Oh, that's
Minnesota.
super cool.
But everything is funneled through
Cutting out.
PlayStation.
For me, anyways.
Who I am?
Is that me?
Huh?
Who's cutting out?
I wonder if that's me. Hang on.
Go
Is it
ahead,
me? Can y'all
preacher.
hear me?
I can hear you.
Well, if that's the case, then there's already a process in place. So
Yeah.
if that's the case, then limited run games can, in theory, print a game
Yeah.
that from a different publisher
I'll do you
for
one better.
PlayStation.
I'll do you one better. As a matter of fact, if you have ever printed a game on PlayStation, whether it's PS1, you can actually call PlayStation and place another order for that game. Right
That's
now.
pretty cool.
Yeah,
That's
no,
pretty cool.
it is.
But
cool.
I'm saying but I'm saying after the fact. After the fact, I
No
feel
new
like
games.
I feel like they would have to be disallowing it because if PlayStation's not incurring the cost, right? They're not
Mhm.
incurring the cost of printing the disc. All they have to make the disc drive, and the disc drive should play. Because if Sony's not, if you okay, you have to have a license disc for a game for PlayStation, the Blu-ray to recognize it, right?
Sony has a
That's
lot of
just-
equipment hawk. They're shutting a lot of it down. That's the point.
But
That's
but then that should leave room for the cottage industry if physical games are selling, right? Just like physical
Yeah.
music to make it for the team player, for the hardcore player to say, hey, we can still make batches of games.
Well, that
I
is
feel
the
like that should
argument.
be
That's what people
that
want.
should be something that should be something that makes sense. For me, it
Yeah.
makes sense that Sony
Yes.
spin out a smaller section of them and say, hey, we make smaller batches of physical games. We're not going to be mass producing them anymore, but we will still make smaller batches. But if not them, then there should be a way that third parties can.
Well,
do
that is what physical
They
gamers
won't.
have been saying is that, number one, the 2028 thing, it's just one plant that PlayStation is reducing production, not ending production, but reducing it. So they're going to go from whatever percentage they're at now to 10%. This factory that they're talking about specific produces 600,000 physical games a day. All right. That is their capacity right now. They're trying to get to 10% of that. But when we're talking about this thing, because what you're saying is exactly what gamers are asking for. Because for PlayStation, their physical market is still over $1.5 billion a year. So this is another misconception that people have. They think that people are losing, or PlayStation is losing money with physical. No, PlayStation is not losing money. They're still making $1.5 billion. It's just that they can make more with digital. And if you, and
They don't
that's
have
why
to cut in the stores. That's the biggest thing.
they don't want to cut into their stores. So it's not that
Well,
they
it's
can't.
margin.
It
It's
usually
all
ends up going something like give or take 5%. It's 50 to the publisher, 20 to the store, and 30 to the platform holder.
Okay, it's not that much. It's 30 total.
That's what I've been told.
Yeah, it's not that fucking
At
much.
least
That means they're
If
getting
they
like
make
$20.
by the way, that money goes after the store cut comes out first. So like if it's say it's $70, they take out 15 or whatever 15%.
You know, Liddell,
is.
we got Liddell here. Liddell, do you happen to know at your job how much your job takes for selling a set? Like when you look at your PN, I don't know if you have access to your PNL, which is your profits and losses, or even your GNL. When you look at that number and you see that you sold a brand new game for $70, what is your cost on that? That's actually a very cool question, because when I ran my store up until 8 months ago, I was a store manager. We had our cost. So a customer came in, was like, "Oh, bro, this thing is $20. Can I get a little discount?" I take a look at my inventory real quick. I'll say, okay, I got 10 of these. My cost is, $8. I'm selling it for 20. What about 17? If I do it for $17, will you buy it? Yes. All right, cool. Deal done. Sure, I didn't make the full $12 profit that the company expects me to make on this product, but hey, $10 is better than 12. You know what I mean? I can technically sell that product for $8 and a penny and still make a profit, right? Quote unquote profit, even though that number just doesn't show my shipping and none of the other shit that goes along with it. And then there's also a back end number that some companies will just say you cannot go below this number whatsoever. Even though the cost is $8, the company will put a block or something like that, where if you try to bring it up on the register, it won't go below whatever that block is. So they'll say $15. So we sell this retail product at 20, even though our cost is $8, the company is saying the computer will not let you ring it out if it's anything under 15. Right? That also exists too. It's not that we're making 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. It's not that we're making $7 on this item. It's just that there's additional expenses on the back end that a store manager like myself isn't privy to, and who also knows what the company has planned for us, right? When a company is investing in itself to expand or whatever, bringing a new product line that they themselves have to build, that money comes from your own money. And the one thing that they don't like to do is they don't like to go in their bank account, the business bank account, pull out money from their
who wants
savings,
to borrow fucking money
and
pay
you know what I
interest
mean,
on it?
pay interest on it. What they tend to do is they tend to borrow money from the bank and pay them back with the profits of whatever that product is you're selling to fund the next one. And how do you do that? And you know what I mean, pay the shit on time and all that. That's why they'll say, "Oh, guys, we're supposed to make 3 million, but we only make 2 million. Well, how can we make up that $1 million difference? Even though we're at a profit, well, let's just get rid of 27 employees. That covers our $1 million. All right, cool, done." And that way, everybody's still getting paid the same. That's still with the company. The CEO can still get his bonus because you met your numbers. So there's a lot of different ways of doing this. That's why I just don't believe that a retailer is going to get 20%. This other, I just don't believe that, because there's levels to this. Walmart and Amazon aren't going to get the same percentage that Target gets. Walmart just has way more stores. Amazon has way more reach, way more customers than Target. You know what I mean? Target isn't known as a place where you just go buy video games and shit like that. Amazon and Walmart, even if they're not either, their reach is still way bigger. So the potential of them selling more shit is larger. Just like when Nintendo didn't allow Amazon to sell their products for a few years because Amazon wanted a better pricing for their own pocket versus Walmart. And Nintendo's like, "No, fuck you. Like, we're not going to give you guys an extra couple dollars just so you can slice the price again to be Walmart." And they stopped selling at Amazon. And it wasn't until 7, 8 years ago that they came back to Amazon. But the whole profit thing, it's completely irrelevant. And then people will say, "Well, why are these developers losing money?" Just like they're losing money with digital games. What, you think that their game isn't competing against 1,000 other shovelware games, and people can't find that game digitally? It's the same shit. You compete against your peers. You're competing against what is the best game and how that game is marketed. It affects both digitally and physical. The big difference between the physical and digital part in regards to game sales is that PlayStation will get more if you buy that game digitally versus you buying it physically. And if we have to take away your ownership and preservation in order to get that pay raise, that's exactly what we're going to do. It's not that they can't have limited run games, make these physical games for them, and they just don't want to deal with the hassle and the shipping and all that. It's just that they don't want that gamer to continue buying physical. They want to bring them over to the digital side so they can make more money off that gamer becoming digital. And if you don't want to do that, fine, leave, because the risk is worth it when we know the digital gamer pays more already. People like today, I saw the tweet from what's his name? It's your buddy, Nelson. He starts with a J-Tech. I just commented in this shit today. He posted something along the lines of here, let me look it up here. It's one of my previous replies that I just did.
I was gonna tell Liddell that he was like, they're a hardware company, aren't they? Sony's actually majority, they're an entertainment company.
Yeah.
Over 60% of their business is entertainment. Their biggest is gaming, then it's music, then it's movies, and then it's all the other shit. Lenses, like they make lenses for
actually
Apple phones,
it wasn't
they make
J-Tech.
the camera lenses. That's a big.
It was actually Jay Bari. I think it was Jay Bari.
Really?
Whoever it was, I'm sorry, I forgot.
It was J-Tech.
No, I'm talking about the pricing. Somebody said, well, look, digital games also has cheap games, right? Well, the difference is that for me to get a game at $7 on the PlayStation Store is going to take years for that to happen. But physically,
yeah, they don't have to bring them down now because you can't go out and get it nowhere else.
You can't go. Well,
I don't think you understand.
I'm talking about right
They're the only store in town, bitch.
I'm talking about right now. Like, oh yeah, I can get games for $2 on the PS Store, which is cheaper than physical, right? That's what it is, cheaper than yeah, because that motherfucker's been out for 10 years. Of course. Physical
and if you don't get it that month, that shit goes back up to full price too.
Exactly. If you don't get it, fuck the month. If you don't get it within those 2 weeks, it's just gonna go back up to full price. So physical, you price it differently because there is a bottom that you can hit with physical, right? Because at the end of the day, you have the plastic that's worth something. You have the disc that's worth something. I mean, fuck, go on eBay. Let's say you try to get a game, you want a complete in box, and you just get the disc. People are still gonna charge you money for the case. People are going to charge you money for the booklet that used to come in there just for you to have a complete in box. Each one of these things has a value. So even if the game is the cheapest it's ever been, it's still going to be more expensive than the cheapest a digital game will ever be. But you cannot compare those exceptions to the rule. They're both exceptions. Just like you're not going to find a day one physical game at $40 when it's digital for $70. No. Those are exceptions. That means that one store somewhere took it as a trade-in and whatever, the employee gave a discount bigger than it should have been, and he fucked up. Those are exceptions, not the rule. What is the rule is what game just came out? Grand Blue Fantasy Relink Endless Ragnarok, $60. At the PlayStation Store, if you want to buy that game fully with DLC and the game, it's going to cost you $60.
I'm playing that joint right now.
Dude, I just got my copy right now. I bought it physical.
We gotta get on there.
Yeah, no, I know I'm streaming, but I'm also playing Mouse PI. I mean, we'll talk about the games we're gonna play before we wrap it up because I want to end it with that. But Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, right? PlayStation, it just came out July 9th, so Thursday. Digitally, it's gonna be $60, and it's gonna be $60 for a few months minimum. But physically, all I gotta do is just buy my time for a week. There's gonna be some dickhead out there who bought the game day one who doesn't really like it that much, and he's gonna trade it in, and I'm gonna be able to get that bitch for $50.
Because on Facebook Marketplace, like, because I ordered Bond or whatever, somebody was selling it for $50 like 2 days after it landed at my place. I got it a week after it came out.
Yeah. Now people could say, well, that's the part that PlayStation wants to end. And this is where I come back and I say, well, that's the hard part that they never want to do. Just like I mentioned in the beginning, people can people can.
I don't know why they don't have permanent markdowns. Like a 6-year-old game, who's still paying $70 for that? Why don't it go down permanently to 40 and then
You know
30?
who that works
Remember
really
when
well
we used
for?
to have greatest hits? You remember
That
when we
works.
used to have greatest hits?
Well, they stopped that because the digital fucking world came out.
I know.
But you know who uses that pricing structure and it's making more money than ever? Capcom. Capcom uses that pricing structure where if a game is between day and date to whatever time, it's full retail price. Sometimes they'll do little 5-10% discounts, but no more. Then after X amount of time, the new retail price is $40. They'll leave that joint up there for a year or two, then they'll mark it down to $29.99 and whatever. So each game, depending on the length of time, has a different price point. If you read one of their financials reports from, I think it was last year, the year before, they talked about how this thing is hugely successful and it allowed them to fund games like Pragmata. It's just such an incredible different side of the market that physical offers, which gives the benefit to the gamer in indirect ways, like digital versus physical. I still buy digital. I'm not against digital, guys. If you look at my library, between all my physical games and the digital games that I purchased, I got like 1,200 games total. I say like 20% of those, 30% are digital. Why? Because I look for good deals there too. For years, the way that I bought a physical game is, okay, so digital is this price, physical is this price. Wow, the digital price is way better. Fuck it, I'll buy a digital. And if I love it that much that I want to have it in a collection, then I'll go and look for a cheap copy. So it's not that I want digital to go away or be the only thing, or physical be the only thing.
Is Mind's Eye cheaper on the store, Hero? Because I got it for free from GameStop.
Yeah, no, you can get that shit at GameStop for like $7.
Damn.
No, I got it for free.
Yeah, I know, but
But
not
you
it.
spend
Once
over
again,
50,
that's the exception. That's the exception, Nelson.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the exception. Not everybody's gonna go to GameStop and get it for free, but everybody can go to GameStop and get it for $7 to $12. And that's something digital can't. It won't never happen. They'll just charge you $60 again for that motherfucker. I'm sorry, preacher. I've been yapping my ass off. Go ahead, man.
No. It's a lot of good points and a lot of valid frustration. But I do think definitely in the last generation, it's gotten a lot better for sales on PlayStation. You know,
Yeah, they're more
I
consistent.
It
definitely
has. That's
said-
the whole thing though is what happens if you don't have the money to buy all these games this month, but in 3 months you get your bonus.
You do, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like if you look at my video, I just did that one where I bought 20-something physical games in June. Well, it ain't because I just felt like buying 20-some physical games. It's because my last bonus, they didn't pay me. So this bonus, they paid me double. So I'm like, shit, I'm going to go out and buy games. So I spent like $300 on games. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to get that bonus every single time. That's going to be a few times a year. So I'm going to take advantage of that. So there's so many games. Like, for example, Sword and Fairy, I think it's called Sword and Fairy.
Yeah, that's a good. I've been wanting to get that.
So that game's been on the PlayStation Store.
Game too.
Same, yeah.
$10, bro. $10 digitally.
Yeah.
And guess what? I ended up buying it physical right before it went on sale. Right before it went on sale. Then it went on sale for $10. I'm like, damn, I just bought the collector's edition for
so
$8.
you paid more for it?
Yeah, I paid more for it.
Oh, damn.
But that's the inconsistency with the digital is it could be cheap now, but then it'll be more expensive later. And then that's not even including PlayStation dynamic pricing.
Yeah, I know. Like a lot of times Luke will ask me for a game. I'm like, wait till Friday, get paid on Friday.
Yeah, get paid on Friday.
I actually gotta ask you. I gotta ask you about a game too. My kid wants Cosmonia's fucking VR, whatever. You have it. So
that was the game that I VR.
My
it
son
looks
loves
so
it.
colorful. It looks so colorful.
My kid wants that.
Yeah, it's a good game.
Yeah.
My son played it heavy for like a month when it first came out.
That's probably why he wants it.
Yeah.
I barely even touched it. It is such like a kid game. It really is. But I wanted to see the colors.
It's a dope game. Well, if you want, we can do whatever you call it, so you can check it out. I think there's a demo actually, but yeah, like RPG says, we need to live with both for our benefit, and PlayStation is willing to get rid of our benefit just so it benefits them. It's just a one-sided relationship now, and that at the end of the day,
it's like the bitch that don't want to do no housework or work. Like, what?
And yeah,
Well,
physical games are important.
You're a roommate that don't pay no rent. Like,
physical games are important, and people are bitching about that. But in reality, what people are really bitching about is about PlayStation itself. They lost the plot.
Yeah, that's the issue. That again, that is the people don't like that PlayStation does not give a fuck that they're upset. That is really the issue. And I don't think
here's another thing though. They could get around this shit so easy. They just don't want to.
No,
they just don't want to. They don't care to.
Like for example, people would piss and moan, but what they could do is, like, say they only ship the first week of every month, you know. But you got to put it in your order. Say the game comes out the 9th, it won't ship to the first of the next month. It's $10 more, and it's $5 for shipping. Or you can get on PlayStation Plus shipping on your subscription.
Yeah, it can do a subscription service.
And buy it in bulk.
Yeah, and how much more do they get?
You're cutting out the middleman. You're getting it shipped to you, and you're making more money off of it. But they don't want to do that, and they ain't gonna mention that because that would be too fucking easy to get around that.
Not just what Nelson is saying. I just told you guys how any publisher right now can just get, if they printed a game on PlayStation in the PS1 era, they can get that bitch printed today. They won't, because the demand is not going to be the same, and the amount of money it costs to market and let people know it's available. It's just,
that's another thing. You could have it up for 90 days where you can order it and they'll send it to you at the end of the month. After that, it has to go in a queue. And then when it hits a certain amount, you might have to wait 6 months, 9 months, or whatever. Then they'll print enough to send out whatever it is.
That's the other thing I tell people too. Or digital.
This is not hard to get around. You don't have to eliminate.
We are already doing that.
But
we are already doing that.
Limited run, yeah.
People don't understand that. Digital gamers do not understand that. They think that things have been the same for the last 20 years. No, the fucking hasn't. You know how long I had to wait for my physical copy of Brothers? I had to wait fucking 8 months. I'm still waiting for my
maximum. I might have to wait all the way till Christmas to get my the Marvel the beat 'em ups, the Marvel collection.
Oh yeah.
I'm still waiting for that motherfucker.
Even if we talk about
like 6 months ago,
day and date games, right? Like, even if we talk about the big ones, I brought up Resident Evil Requiem, where that motherfucker sold out physically, where people who even pre-ordered the game had to wait a week after a release to get a copy of that. Shit, just this week right here,
I got
Friday.
2 of them by accident.
We got.
You know what? That's why. Now that you said that, I remember. You know, there's a guy in town. His kid wanted it, and he couldn't get a copy. And I had ordered Screamers and Requiem, but the guy put it on like I ordered 2 copies of Requiem, and they couldn't find it, so I just sold it to him for price.
Yeah,
because I was like, well, I don't need.
But even just this weekend, we have Sword Art Online: Echoes of Ironclad. I pre-ordered that motherfucker. It released on Friday. I won't get the game till tomorrow or Tuesday. And that's a big AAA game. Well, not AAA, but high AA, right? Between AAA and AA by Bandai Namco. You know what I mean? And I'm still not going to get my game until Tuesday. So the whole argument that, oh yeah, if digital gamers had more patience, what are you talking about? As a matter of fact, most games that are printed for PlayStation are boutique games. Meaning limited run games or
I just got Mouse PI. How long did that
3 months
come out ago? I just got mine yesterday.
3 months after the game came out. The other thing too that's gonna screw up that digital gamers ain't thinking about. Blue Reflection Quartet. That game they're gonna put all.
I was looking at that one too.
So I'm getting a physical copy, but if you look at Koei Tecmo for the West, they say available digital only. No, you can buy it physically too, just in Asia. And that's the last thing we'll talk about before we move on to what games we're going to play. Then we'll close it out. But no, they're printing it in Japan. So I'm getting it from Play Asia, right? Everybody's already pushing the West towards physical. They won't push Japan until PlayStation will now. But what is PlayStation saying about
their you know what, another
their
thing
gamers?
Too, did you look up what Japan is physical?
Yeah.
They're over 60% physical.
Yeah, I know. The majority of gamers in Japan are physical. But remember, that is a small percentage that PlayStation is willing to lose because they'll get the pay increase from the all-digital gamer. And that's that's the whole point of this thing, guys, is for the digital gamer is, guys, yes, the fight right now is for the physical gamers, but they're really going after you. Look, they are willing to get rid of the hardcore, the guys that do unboxing on social media, that go out and wait weeks, months, sometimes years to get a physical copy of their hands, the cheerleaders of the brand. Not saying that digital gamers aren't a cheerleader, because of course they are, but physical shit is the shit that attracts gamers or people to go and look at shit.
Most people that buy 2 games a year are not going to waste their time with going to the store and getting shit.
No. So they're willing to get rid of all those guys just to get to you, the digital gamer. I'd be scared if I was a digital only gamer. I'd be like, hold up, why are you trying to get rid of a section of your customer base just to sell to me specifically? What, you think games are going to go up to $80 standard? It's going to be you who pays that. What, you think that if you bought a game from that only came out in the East, which happens all the time with these JRPGs, you can only get it in Japan, China kind of markets, or Europe, and you create a different account on PlayStation.
Ys, I think like Ys 10 sold more on physical than digital. It came out a year later on disc.
Yeah. But even for the guys that do the cross, the cross account thing, so they can play those games that don't come out in the West, how do you think that's going to be effective with you digital? Well, you think PlayStation is going to crack down? I mean, they've been cracking down on us this whole console generation. They've increased price.
You can clip this. Like by mid-gen next generation, that game sharing shit, kiss it goodbye.
Yeah, it's going to be done. Yeah. Now they're going to want, you bought one for you and your friend? No, we want your friend to buy one too. But where are you going to go?
You want to play with your kid? No, fuck no. Have them go buy a copy.
People, because I tell people I bought the collector's edition of Halo, and they say, why would you do that? The game's not even on the disc. I'm like, I get it. But do you know how many games come out nowadays that are couch co-op, let alone online co-op, that are straight like classic games with a campaign and, PvE, PvP? They're rare. And you think PlayStation is going to make it easy for that to continue? Fuck no. They're going to make it for you guys have to buy in the same household too. They already got it that way set up with accounts. Everybody's got to have their own account. Everybody's got to have their own email address. You know what I mean? The restrictions are only going to get stronger and stronger and stronger because they're going to milk the fuck out of whatever base they have left. So they don't care if they lose 5 million customers, because the other fucking 95 million are they're gonna pay up that difference.
They're gonna soak it up with your blood.
Yeah. So yeah, when we ask the question, why would you stay with PlayStation when PlayStation goes all digital, when they do all digital the worst? It just doesn't make any sense to me. People will say things like, I'm a tech enthusiast, which, hey, I of course, I love getting new tech too. There's a reason I got a MetaQuest 2, Switch 2, Series. I mean, I own everything. I even got a PC. I love this shit, even though I don't know how to work it that well, but I love it. I love taking shit out of the box. I love fucking experimenting with shit and seeing what works, what doesn't, the limits I can do, how games look. Shit, I bought the same game multiple times on multiple consoles this whole console generation. Fucking Cyberpunk, fucking Final Fantasy. I mean, I don't even know how many games I triple, quadrupled it. And they're losing out on all that money. And at the end of the day, PlayStation is not the only ones getting hurt, because there is a ton of digital only games that I have purchased over the years, right? Oh, fuck, they're not doing the physical, or I don't want to wait for the physical. It's too long. What happening now is I'm just not buying none of it. So like that one game, Deer Boy, just came out right when PlayStation announced the whole digital shit. And I wanted to play that game. It released that same fucking Friday. I haven't bought it, and I'm not going to, because I don't want to support PlayStation's digital store. So that publisher...
You see, Will, but there's only a few of you. You know what I mean? I really do.
We spend a lot though.
There's actually
exactly, and you should be cared.
Look at my comment section.
Concerns are valid.
I'm worth 20 normal people though.
Over the last
how many?
So I got
how many
5,
people are going to continue that? 28. Though.
It's not that, and that's what I mentioned earlier with my cousin. It's not that people are going to stop buying a PS6. It's the fact that PlayStation has planted the seed in their head that there may be other options available. That is the seed that's going to hurt PlayStation the most. It's not going to hurt them now. It's going to hurt them in 5 and 10 years down the road. That's what this whole argument is about. It's not about PlayStation being hurt right now. No, because when I stop fucking with PlayStation, guess who else stops fucking with my PlayStation? My 10-year-old son. Guess who else stops fucking with PlayStation? My friends and family and little kids. Not all of them, but some of them, because I'm the hardcore.
Fucking cousins, fucking...
their kids and
Yeah,
their
that I can
kids.
definitely agree.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, 1000%.
Not just that, but the fact that just this last 2 weeks, I've never heard these words ever on my channel before. From guys, I'm telling you, from guys that have been PlayStation guys for 30 years. Like I've honestly been super shocked about this. Hey, what do you know about jailbreak? What do you know about firmware this? Like language that I've never heard of coming from guys that I know them as PlayStation hardcore that have been with PlayStation since the PS1 that buy not as many games as me, some buy more games than me, but the fact that they're even talking this mumbo jumbo, bro, I Googled for the first time last week actually emulators. And what exactly is an emulator? What
I'm
is
buying
the
an
law?
emulator 4K.
What is like, bro, I've been seeing this so much over the last 2 weeks.
I'm buying one too.
That's just not
my next gen
normal.
console, dude.
That is not normal. People are no longer talking about what games are on the disc physically. People are now asking me shit, Will, what kind of hard drive do I need to download my games? And if I decide to jailbreak later, what things should I avoid? I'm like, bro, I don't know this shit. I'm just like y'all, fucking physical
That's
game.
why I'm buying an
you know what I mean?
emulator. They'll just do it for me.
But that is the people are you have the extremists, right? Which I would consider myself an extremist who is gonna shut down, PS Plus. I canceled. I'm not gonna buy any more digital games. And if PlayStation stays the same, I'm not gonna buy a PS6 either. Why? Because I already have a PC who does digital way better than PlayStation would, and I already paid for it. And we're not even talking about what the price of the next console is gonna be. So now you're gonna spend $800 to $1,000 on an all digital platform
The
that
fucking
does digital the worst.
PS5 is gonna be $1,000 by
That's the thing.
2027.
I don't think it will be. I don't think people are gonna switch.
Nah, they already said they're about to go up fucking way high again after the holidays.
Yeah, I can't see it. I cannot.
You
see
keep saying that, but supply and
out.
demand, dude. You don't understand. These tech companies that are eating up all this shit. They're in a race to survive. Like you either keep up or you fucking go down in a blaze of glory.
I don't think PlayStation is in a spot where they're looking at survival. If PlayStation was in a spot,
I'm talking about for resources to make this shit.
Oh yeah, but you got to think PlayStation has the economy of scale. You know what I mean? This isn't Xbox.
That they do, but if they start taking a $200 loss on fucking every Steam don't have to take a loss on shit. You know
but that's why they can't subsidize it, right? And that's why you have to buy $1,000 machine.
But
that's
Sony can't subsidize it these days anymore. If you take $100,
Sony hasn't.
Someone like me, sure, but the problem is not everyone out there you're gonna make that $100 back on.
Sony hasn't Sony hasn't PlayStation since like 2022 or something.
Yeah.
Right?
They haven't subsidized PlayStation since
2020.
But they don't need
the first 6 months.
But
the PlayStation 4 was only a year too, and it was $19. It wasn't like $100 or $250 like back in the day. That's why they never made no money in the past.
But it's not that PlayStation can't subsidize it, because they can. It's just that they won't. But that's the mentality that we're talking about. It ain't because they're cutting physical at the end of the day. It's because of their coldness towards their own customers. They can subsidize that PS6 and sell it to you for $600 and make the same amount of money, probably, if not more, on the digital sales of software. No, I know that, but I'm saying they could if they wanted to make that thing successful. But they're not going to. They're never going to subsidize the console ever again. Why? Because this has been the richest generation in history. They're never going to want to take a step back.
It's 1,000%. It's going to be successful regardless. I think as long as they keep it under 1,000, people aren't going to switch over to a PC. Right, because a PC is massively expensive to build.
No.
If you think memory costs are bad with a PlayStation, it's extensive, way levels of magnitude more expensive.
Yeah, I know. Even fucking hard drives are going up. Dude. Like, the old school for like PS4 hard drives. I bought a 4 terabyte 5 years ago. No, more longer than that. 7 years ago. 4 terabyte for like $80.
But
they're
remember,
like $220 now.
That's
PC. That's ancient shit, dude.
But remember, guys, PC that's just one option. People are acting like the Switch 2 is dead. Switch is still doing physical. As a matter of fact, half of Nintendo's customers buy physical. And like I mentioned earlier,
The
Nintendo,
first party, it's even more. I think it's like 80-20.
yeah, it's
I
way
don't think
more.
people are gonna want to make those sacrifices
For
on
ownership,
a
I think they will.
scale.
Yeah, I think they will. I do.
I think
I
people
do.
are gonna buy. I think people are gonna buy Nintendo Switches regardless, right? It's the fastest selling console
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, they will.
ever
Yeah,
at
but
this moment.
for a
But
handheld, like
I
getting
can
over
never see it.
500,
It's
because
not that they're
that's the thing
gonna.
about.
It's
They're
not that
not.
they're
They
gonna.
can't take over the third party.
No,
They
but
continue to be the
No,
third.
no.
that they make all their profit off of though. That you buy their machines and buy all their shit.
Yeah,
So they
but
fucking.
it's not that Nintendo. It's not that people are gonna switch to Nintendo. It's that people are just not gonna buy PlayStation anymore because they already have the
Exactly.
Nintendo.
I'll get
That's
a
the thing.
Nintendo and play retro.
And now imagine if Nintendo, takes the opportunity and be like, oh shit, we have a opportunity here, guys. Let's fucking subsidize, and Nintendo will. They're already making bank on their Switch 2, on their hardware. They're already making money because it's underpowered. Even now, it's underpowered. So I wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo's making $200 to $300 profit on their fucking
Nah.
console right now. I would not be surprised, not one bit. Remember,
$20 to $30
these
maybe.
hell, fuck no. Fuck no. And when I ran the store, low price items, we would try to do at least 80, well, depends, but like let's say on a dollar item, oh, we're gonna price it up 80%. We're gonna make 80-90% of profit on that dollar item. Because what's a dollar to the customer, right? When our cost is 10 cents. When the higher priced items like $1,000, well, that's where the margins get a little bit shorter. So now we're doing 15-20%. On a $500, yeah, we're sticking with the OG 30 to 40%. We're making our money slightly under half on that thing. And I believe Nintendo's going to be at least $150, $200. If I saw 300, it wouldn't shock me, but I would say at least 200 per unit, not including all the other things. But I could be wrong. I'm just shooting the shit. I don't know other
You're
numbers.
definitely wrong.
I could be wrong. But based on my retail history of managing inventory for 15 years, yeah, I've never been to a retail store. Even when I sold cars, the margins were fucking 10%, 15%. Like, come on, if cars at $100,000 when I worked at Maserati and Infinity and BMW,
Yeah,
Porsche.
but those cars that you're not selling fucking.
Yeah, I know. What do you think it was on a Toyota? It was 15%, 17%. On a
I
Ford,
know, but
on a Chevy, when they do rebates, man, my first month working at a Chevy dealership, I made $37,000 bonus commission. Yeah, nah, there's money. There's money. Ain't nobody. That's what I'm saying. We're in America, bro. America's the biggest, for sales in the world. And we're all about capitalism here, baby. You know what I mean? Everybody makes money off somebody else's shit. Whether you provide a service or whether you're selling somebody else's product, it don't matter. You're going to make money off of that. But PlayStation, they're trying to cut out as many of these people as they can, right? That's why they want to go all digital, because now you're funneling them all through you. And when it comes to cost, so my PC that I bought in December, I paid $1,100 for it. I got a 5060 Ti. My monitor is cheap, it's like $300, and I can run just almost any game that I want at 4K, 110 frames per second. 1440, I can do 120, 130, 140 frames per second.
by the way, if you want to get a Switch, do it before September.
PS5 Pro is $900 right now, and that thing is upscaled 4K at, I've seen it run Horizon Forbidden West at 80 frames, right? So if you buy the equivalent of that, which is probably my PC is a little bit better than the PS5 Pro. My same PC right now is selling with the price increases on Best Buy, $1,400. So now if you're a consumer who heard this news this week or this month, and now you're starting to hear this conversation about PC and you dive into it and you see that, oh shit, I can get over 100 frames per second, at 1440, over 100 frames per second at 4K, and I only got to pay a couple $100 more than a PlayStation console, and I don't got to pay for online, which is another $80 a year, and I can save on digital games because they have multiple different stores that I can compete with. I don't know, man. Oh, ease
Now
of use.
PC is the fastest growing market, so I believe that's going to slow down a lot here with the memory
prices?
increases.
Every-
Yeah, that's
everything
going to
is.
slow down a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't.
It's even starting to
still
affect
believe-
Apple, and you know how big their fucking scales are.
Yeah, and I just still believe that I think PlayStation is too important to Sony's bottom line as a company for them to come out with $1,000 console. I don't believe that that's going to
No,
happen.
no, me
And
neither.
as long as they don't do
Well, they
that,
ain't taking a $200 or
But it's gonna be
$300 hit to
800.
make $50 back off of most
It's
but
gonna be
that's what I'm
800.
saying. That's why things like the disc drive, I believe, got cut, right? Because and that's
Bro,
why
this
it's
drive
easy.
is like
Yeah, but the disc drive is
$16.
pennies compared to
Yeah,
the
it's
RAM and
cheap.
all that
But
shit.
yeah, but you can't get rid of the RAM. The
The
RAM's not
disc drive
optional.
too, you could all just made it optional like it already is.
Exactly.
Which I believe they'll do. Which I
Which
believe
they already said
they'll
they ain't gonna do.
provide that peripheral. I don't think
They won't.
they didn't say that. They didn't. Now I can't say
Well, why
that
would
they
they?
will 100%, but they definitely didn't say that they. Which is why I think somebody like a third party, if the physical media,
They won't even let third party make fucking plates for them.
Yeah, that's true.
that's true.
Like, get the
That's
fuck
true.
out of here. They ain't letting
Yeah.
and nobody do
Definitely true.
goddamn thing.
Man,
They
yeah,
might not. They definitely might
and
not.
look,
But I think that would compromise for them to do. And part of the problem is they're not going for the easy compromises. But that's an easy compromise.
Hey,
They can,
I just came up with a way, like me and Will just chatting yesterday, where they could make more money off of physical than they do off digital, and get your ass to pay more for subscriptions, but they still ain't doing
they
it.
won't
It
do
ain't
it.
about it ain't even about as money as much as it is they want the fucking control.
Yeah, it's the control that is driving them the most because the money they're already getting, right? That's when people say, "Why are they doing this?" Well, it's for control, and then with the control comes the rest, which is money's the other big one.
They can start
But
taking more shit from you.
and I was telling Nelson, at this point, right? Let's say the PS6 comes out, right? I'm pretty sure it'll be backwards compatible. The PS6 at that point will be backwards compatible with 3 generations. Like they have the technology. Now imagine this, right? Imagine this, guys. Now I'm gonna put my tinfoil hat on, just like I told Nelson yesterday. But just imagine if they came out with a PS6 that wasn't only backwards compatible with a PS4, PS5, and PS6, but imagine if it was backwards compatible with a PS1, PS2, PS3, a PSP. They have a little slide slot for a PS Vita. Hey, gamer, forget backwards compatible with the PS5. How about backwards compatible for all generations? How many more consoles do you think will sell? How many more physical gamers? Because look, this does happen every generation where a PS1 gamer stays with a PS1. They never go above that. PS2, I mean, they're very little,
That's
right?
another way they could
But
do it. Other
I-
games.
I know.
They could go back to printing. People would pay a premium to get certain PS1 games, and you could be printing those too. You have to. It has to hit 100,000, otherwise it refunds your money back. How
But
hard is that?
there's ways of
Like,
doing it.
there's
It's
so
just
much. It's not what it's about though.
PlayStation doesn't want to, they just don't want to do the work, just like they never want to do the work with the development cycle, right? It's just easier to lay people off. It's just easier to charge customers more for a DLC. It's just easier to do it things this way. They just don't have the hunger anymore. Just like they didn't have the hunger to go out and tell Shift Up, hey, what do we have to do to get you guys to allow us the marketing rights on this game? Come on, bro. We had a great relationship last game.
yeah,
You know what I
We
mean?
made this game
I
happen.
also
Now
disagree.
fuck it.
Oh, my fault. I also disagree with that part too because while they don't have Shift Up, right? Shift Up gets to go make.
Well, you don't have to
Shift
buy
Up
them to
had
make a
great
deal.
success.
Just to announce
No,
the
you
game
don't-
there. Like,
Yeah,
yo,
yeah.
But
we
even
made this
then-
game
but-
happen. Now you were just like, now you can give it to Keeley or whatever. Like,
No, I mean like
yo,
they had huge.
Shift Up wouldn't even be in business right now if Sony didn't step in and fucking back them.
Well,
They
not Sony
definitely
Shuhei.
would though. They had Nike. They successful
they?
mobile game. Yeah, Shift Up is already successful, and Stellar Blade was massively. So just like with
Stellar Blade wasn't gonna happen. You know that, right? That
they
was
seem-
shown in
Yeah,
an
or
Xbox
Shuhei.
show, but they ran out of
money.
cash, and Shuhei cut a
Shuhei.
check.
Yeah. Remember,
Wow,
Shuhei
no,
was
I did not know that.
That's why they ended up. They
yeah.
published that game.
That's the only reason why. I remember Shuhei, he actually got demoted by Jim Ryan because Shuhei was in charge of
That was one of the last deals he cut.
yeah, Shuhei was in charge of the studios, and Jim Ryan wanted him out. I mean, Shuhei says this himself, or he doesn't say the part. He's not that direct with it, but you can read
It
between the
wasn't
lines.
anything personal.
It wasn't anything personal. It's like
if you
you're
were ever
old.
if you were ever the boss of somebody and you've been like, you've been over someone for a long time and you get promoted above that, a boss doesn't want to be under that dude either.
No, and on top of that,
There's friction.
And think about this too. This last 2 years, how many banger indie titles has PlayStation gotten that they've been promoting on the State of Plays and all that? Not many.
Nothing.
Why? Because Shuhei left. And I said this a couple of years ago when Shuhei left. This is going to impact PlayStation like a lot. Because it doesn't matter how hard you've been training somebody to take over a Shuhei spot, you cannot deny dude's fucking skill.
But I think these games are still here.
They are here.
Yoshida, he's done a lot of good stuff, but he's the same dude who downplayed Demon Soul, right? Who
good.
Had to hide Demon Soul.
That game's fucking trash.
I mean, but yes, no, you're right. But look at Demon Soul. Demon Soul's only sold like 100, like 1.5 or 2 million copies.
But it starts off franchise, which includes Dark Souls, which then goes on.
Those suck too.
Yeah, but that's
you know what I mean?
That's that's the exception, not the rule.
And we're talking about like if PlayStation has these games, right? They don't have necessarily Stellar Blade 2 to come give them a trailer, right? But it's not like Stellar Blade's not going to be on PlayStation, and they have Phantom Blade 0 this year. They had Neo 3.
Yeah, but those are the excuses that we have been making for ourselves, as gamers. It's like, well, PlayStation's push for JRPG isn't really there anymore, but who cares? Because we're still getting them, right?
Keep that Xbox 360, yo.
But we do have the JRPGs. Final Fantasy, I know. Rebirth and 16 launched exclusively.
I get it, but it won't happen anymore. And not just that.
Again.
Where else can you get these JRPGs? You can get them on Nintendo and PC.
And Nintendo for a reason.
You can get them anywhere now. PC now. Like me and Nate, because Nate's big JRPGs, actually teaching me a lot about JRPGs because I'm new. But Steam now is one of the biggest stores for JRPGs.
Again, that's if you want to go to PC, right? If you want to go to PC, there's a lot that a PC can do that a console will never be able to.
Yeah, but these are things that never happened before. Like, yes, they had JRPGs, but PlayStation was the box for JRPGs, just like the 360 was the shooter box.
I don't think that's fair in the comparison to PC, because PC is the everything box. You have everything on PC.
No, I get it, but the quality or the quantities and qualities wasn't what you used to get on PlayStation. Like, things just started ramping up on PC on JRPG side over the last half decade.
I don't know what to tell you, Siren.
You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't a common thing on PC. PlayStation got a lot of those games first, and they stayed there for a long time. Now, on PC, they're releasing sometimes even earlier than PlayStation. PlayStation still gets a lot of them, but what I'm trying to say is I'm not trying to pinpoint JRPG specifically, okay? That's not what I'm doing here. What I'm trying to say is I don't believe in what do you call it? Not conspiracies, but coincidences. There's just too many things that are happening back to back to back that never have happened on PlayStation before. Like, yeah, we can talk about specific. Okay, Shift Up, that's just one game. Final Fantasy Revelations, okay, that's just another game.
Resident
Evil, that's just another game.
Neo is now day one for PC.
Yes, so these are individual things. We still have a shit ton more.
This is just the last year.
But these are just all things that when you add them together, it's like, wait a minute, these are all things you can only get on PlayStation. These are only things that were at least marketed for PlayStation. Now it's like, when's the last time that PlayStation had a marketing right for an exclusive game, a third-party exclusive that you can only play on PlayStation? And not because PlayStation
maybe
signed a deal, but not because a game that PlayStation specifically said, we want to showcase this on our State of Play for our console. How much do we got to write? No, they stopped that because they're like, well, we're the de facto console now. Xbox ain't competing. We're the default, so people are going to come to us, and they have been. So many games released just on PlayStation and PC because it's not worth porting over to Xbox because they don't have the customer base, right? And I think that has added to PlayStation's attitude of, yeah, we're going to cut out physical because where else are they going to go? But then the question that I ask everybody is, if PlayStation goes all digital for the PS6, why would you stay with the place that does digital all the worst?
It's still going to be way cheaper than whatever, than to build an equivalent PS6.
They need
to be. That's what I'm getting down. It's going to be.
I honestly won't even speculate on cost because shit could change really fast. And they're saying 2027 shit's gonna be way higher than it is.
And also, it'd be
There
different
would be
if
0% chance that, again, it's too paramount to Sony's business
all
as a
right,
whole
well,
for them
well,
to, even if they sell it at $1,000, the power comparison to what you would get for $1,000 trying to build
Richard,
your
let me
own
ask you a question.
consumer.
Let me ask you a question because you bring up a good point, right? And PlayStation has a ton of, cultural power, right? Like how I said last week, when I was a little kid, my mom called everything Nintendo. The PlayStation is a Nintendo. Now everything's a PlayStation, right? That's how impactful culturally it is. But if a PS6 comes out all digital, it's $800. Nintendo is still selling for $500. Nintendo's still doing physical. Nintendo's charging $35 for the yearly to play online,
it's 30.
and you can get, or 30, whatever, and you can
That's
get
for family. 20 for
4K.
single.
Oh yeah, you're right. 20 for single. I pay for the family. I should stop paying for family. What the fuck? It's just me. Anyways, and you can get, 4K 60 docked. What do you think
I
most
don't think-
families are gonna
And you
do?
can take the
I
shit
don't
with
think
you.
the same person that buys a PS6 day one is the
I
same
think you'd be
person who's going to
surprised.
be okay with trading that off for a Switch 2 day one.
You're right.
Because those are two very different
When you hit a certain
powers of
price
levels
point, you're
and
like,
games.
well, I can play that a little bit better on that and spend a band, or I can play it a little worse and I can play everything that I need to hear.
No,
I
but
don't think that's true.
you're
We see that consumer trend towards, even as these prices go up, people still buy it. People still go for the games that
Really?
they actually
Did
want for the
PlayStation
things that
just
they
mark
actually
their
play.
like worst fucking quarter ever?
yeah,
Well,
but
you got to think about the outside like forces along with that. Right?
What
They
I'm saying
are
is
more
they ain't going
expensive.
away. It's gonna
But
get worse. When
and
as
also the
fucking-
numbers are
compared to-
minimal.
As compared to consoles that had down, right? It's compared to that, but it's not like they had their worst. Not like they didn't sell a whole bunch of consoles. People are still buying them,
Yes,
right?
the Steam Deck
People
went
are
up to
still buying it in
$800,
droves.
right? And it's sold out, right? But the thing is, that's just the hardcore. They're not going to keep up those sales forever.
The hardcore already. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. The people who are going to go buy a PlayStation 6 on day one aren't going to want to buy a Switch 2
but they need
instead because they bought it.
Yeah, they do, but that's the guys that go by day one are normally the enthusiasts. We need 8 years out of this thing. Can it sustain 8 years while price now is increasing and not going down? I don't think PlayStation.
PS6?
I think a PS6 will never hit over 80 million sold if they stick to what they're doing now. There's just no way. Everybody, just like how
I think it continues this trend. They'll probably sell the same 100 plus million. I mean, PS5 is even going to have a massively long tail. This cross gen is going to be years longer than the PS4 one was. So while it might not start off as fast as the PS4, it's definitely going to.
And that makes it
I
even
don't think
worse.
I don't think consumer trends are going to change very much at all.
I think
I
they will.
really don't.
And
I
not
really
because of the
don't.
physical
I think
thing,
a lot of-
because of the price thing.
I don't think the price will be outrageous. I think part of what they're doing now is taking down the price, right? Again, with this drive.
If they continue the
potential
cross-gen
removal.
even further than they did PS4, PS5, less
They
people are going to
1000%
upgrade.
will.
I know they will. Less people are going to upgrade to that PS6. Way less. Especially
Less
people
are
who
gonna
have a Pro.
upgrade. But if they have a different outlook on how a generation runs, right, which they will if they're doing cross generation for much longer, right, then it's not about selling them on it immediately, right? That's why I say it's gonna definitely sell less probably in the beginning, right? Not, I wouldn't even say less. It's probably gonna sell in line with it, but it might fall off faster because that secondary user who buys it, or somebody who buys it on a sale is going to have less chance, right? Or it's going to be. But I think in general, buy it because that's just what's been going on. They don't have much more of a choice. You know what I mean? You can go, or unless you want to spend exorbitantly and go into PC, right? But there's not going to be much
It's only
better
going
of
to
a
be a couple
choice
$100
for
more.
couple $100. But if the price is what's keeping you from upgrading in the beginning, then a couple $100 is probably more significant than,
But you're
you know
also
what I mean? It's
saving
just
if the same customer is looking at the information, just like how you said, right, with the whole cross-gen shit. If they're going to be looking at that information, then they're also going to be looking at the pros and cons. And yeah, $200 is a lot, but now you subtract 80 just for 1 year of PS Plus, and that's at the current price because we all know that's going to go up. That's going to go up again here soon, probably. I would guess in the next 2 years. Then the increase in price of games because they're also going to go up to $80. Now we're like, okay, well, just in 2 games that I buy in 1 year, I save that money. I save 20, $30 over on PC, and then PS Plus, that's 100. So now I'm only paying 100 difference, and then by the second year, it's paid off. And then by the third year, I'm up 100. By the fourth year, I'm up 100. Also, if they do this whole cross-gen shit way longer, which they will, the PS5 gamers that are all physical aren't going to continue to buy as many digital games, so that number's going to go up. And the money has to come from somewhere. The whole reason PlayStation is getting rid of physical is because they want that increase. So if they're getting less on that end, that's got to be made up somewhere. So how are they going to do that? Whether they increase console price, even if it's just $10, $15, PS Plus a couple, whatever, no matter where you look in gaming, it's going to be expensive. I think the battle next generation is not going to be on pricing. I think it's going to be on availability, games, and long-term usage. I think that people are going to be looking at it as a much longer investment and what's going to keep me tied to that system the longest time. And the PS6 to me just ain't it, especially when PlayStation is only releasing 1 game on average a year over the last 4 years.
I think the consoles are going to be the price effective model, right? Because it's going to be more expensive. The RAM crisis is getting even worse. And I think that PlayStation releases an appropriate amount of games, to be honest.
Oh, hell
because
no,
I don't look at PlayStation as a publisher, right? If you look at PlayStation,
no, they've always been that way. But like we said, the difference is they've always had 1 or 2, or maybe 3 games a year.
No.
There's no second or third party or indies anymore that are that.
There are,
you know
though.
What I mean?
What about
They still got the
Karen? What about
quarterback, but they
Neo?
don't
What
have a
about
running
Phantom
back. They don't
Blade?
have wide receivers. They don't have a good left tackle.
But what about those
He's
games?
running around
About those games that are coming out exclusively? They're on PC, right?
like what?
If you have PC. Neo 3, Karen came out in the beginning.
Neo 3 came out day 1 on PC.
But that's the only thing. If you're looking at it from a perspective,
well, what else is there? Xbox is done. Don't even bring that shit up.
But
they're PC now. Let's be honest.
But if you compare it directly, way more cost. I have consoles and PCs in completely different spaces. Right?
Are they?
Because you're making it's a much different cost to value comparison, right? That's why I'm saying I don't think people are going to buy a bunch of PCs because they're not going to think about it. Oh, I got to think about the PS Plus price for the year and this game and that game. They're going to think about, okay, I'm at the how much is this?
I don't think
this
people
is under 1,000.
I don't think people are gonna look to Switch specifically. I think only the hardcore will be looking to do additional, maybe like a Switch 2 or maybe even a PC. I think what's just gonna happen is people are just gonna stay with their PS5. I just think they're just
Can
not
I share
gonna
a theory
upgrade.
real quick?
They might, but I don't think PlayStation sees that as a problem. And I don't think it really is. I think that's how it should be. If you can't get a PS, don't like what the PS6 is doing, don't get it. You know what I mean?
That's
but
the
that
problem.
Doesn't mean the PS.
Because if people, like for me, I'm not going to PS6. Normally, I'm the day 1 customer. But not only am I not going to PS6, I'm not buying.
I'll show you what I'm getting.
I'm not buying any more games from PlayStation. So it's not that people are staying with PS5 and also continuing to buy. I think people are just staying with PS5 and also not buying from them. They're just going to stick with what they got and dive deep into the 10,000 games that are already available because it's going to be cheaper. I can go out and buy the same game physically cheaper than we can digitally.
Yeah,
not
and
always.
Ultimately, I commend you guys. For sticking to your guns and choosing to do that. But I think that there's
like I told Will yesterday. Everything that I love, if it goes past the point where I just can't. Like I have morals on shit. You know what I mean? The only thing I can't just fucking walk away from is my kids.
And remember,
That's it.
the majority of
That's it.
gamers on
Even my
PlayStation
wife.
aren't even full digital gamers. They're gamers that buy both. That's another misconception that the 85% or the people that
Yeah, you're gonna lose on both ends.
they think
You're gonna
that
take it in the ass and the mouth.
they're the majority. You're not the majority. It's just that people buy majority digital, but majority of gamers buy both. Hell, we just talked about the PlayStation first party numbers. Majority
Yeah, you know what
of
the
those
big,
games
you know what
are
the big
being sold
inflation is?
physical.
You buy your whatever Assassin's Creed, your Spider-Man or whatever, but then those guys are also playing fucking Call of Duty. You going and buying that physical? Most of them aren't.
No, they're buying.
Madden, why waste your time? You could turn around and sell it for $5 next year. Shit ain't worth nothing. Your FIFA, like
And
after that shit's a year old, that shit's a frisbee.
Well, those are the numbers that people like to tout.
I know it skews them. It's multiplayer games because that's what most people play too. And why would you want to get a game on a disc when you buy one or two discs a year, but 90% of your time goes to that one fucking title every year?
So, like right here for God of War Ragnarok, and I don't know what these numbers are going to be or whatever, but what we do know is that for God of War Ragnarok, 76% of those games were sold physical, 24% were sold digital. So, if we are saying that more gamers would just stay with what they have and not upgrade, then the new God of War comes out, but yet last time majority was physical and they can no longer get physical. There's got to be a drop, and the game's only available on current gen because PlayStation is going to be like, you know what, we're going to take advantage of. They're usually the first ones to stop making cross-gen games, right? So if they continue to make physical, or not physical, but if they continue to put out cross-gen games, then you're going to have the current gen gamers, just like they do every console generation, bitching and complaining that the games aren't being developed to the maximum capability and being taken advantage of the console's hardware. And, it's just going to be the same shit all over again. But PlayStation's going to be in a position of like, oh yeah, absolutely. But PlayStation's going to be like, damn, last game we sold 76% of the games. And I'm not saying that 76% of gamers are just not going to buy God of War. Obviously, that's ridiculous. But even if 10% don't buy the next game because it's digital only, that's a big difference of selling 15 million copies. So now selling, 12.5 million copies. Now the question, the fingers are being pointed again. Why didn't we sell as good or better? Do we have to lay off people? Like, are we paying too many people? And it's just the same shit over and over again. So yeah, the difference in the amount of gamers doesn't mean anything right now. But as these development cycles continue to get more expensive, right, more responsibility, investors invest more, then more questions are going to be asked, and the performance is going to be different. There's going to be more performance demanded. And that's where I see the big effect taking on for PlayStation. And it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, we also have another thing too, where we're seeing the upper management at Sony getting rid of their stock. That's also not a good look. And for people who don't understand, for these guys selling their stock, it's not something that they can just do overnight. They can't just say, I'm going to sell, a couple $1 million worth of stock tomorrow and do it. No, they will be investigated as fuck for insider trading. You know what I mean? More than likely, they put in these requests to sell stocks, a month or two in advance, right? So take that with what you will. But when you have that also happening, the public trust isn't very high. And it isn't just one guy. It's been a whole bunch of them over at Sony getting rid of big portions of their stock holdings. It's not like they're selling 10% or 15%. No, these motherfuckers over half. Over half.
Right.
So there's a lot of things going on at PlayStation. And, when we point them out individually, we can easily overcome the objection. No, he's selling the stocks, but he had to put it in 3 months in advance, so nothing there. Okay, you're right. Shift up. Nah, they said they're going to go third party, blah, blah. They had Nike and all this shit. Okay. Capcom, but when you put all these things together, that's where you have to look at it and be like, yeah, things are different. Things are changing. And That's it, man. That's the bottom line. PlayStation is just not the same PlayStation that it used to be. And until they make some changes, as of now, I am out. And each day that goes by, I'm just cementing my feet. You know what I mean? If I break up with my girlfriend and tomorrow she hits me up, okay, maybe I'll get back together with her. You know what I mean? In a week, maybe I haven't fucked and I want to bust a nut. All right, let me bust this nut and see what happens. But after 3 months, like, bitch, move out. Like, I already moved out. I already moved around. I got over you. I'm done. And that's what I feel for PlayStation. It's like the longer that they drag this shit out, and once again, I'm just speaking for me. I'm not going to speak for a majority of people or a section of people, but I know that people like
the
us
way
who
I
buy
kind of feel
physical.
about it though is, if you're not willing to go out of your way for me, why should I go out of my way for you?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, and that's another thing. When GTA 6 dropped digitally, and everybody all of a sudden forgot their gaming morals, right? Like, wait till they show you gameplay, wait till they sell you the game, and these motherfuckers are pre-ordering the game 6 months in advance. Like, what? Like, who does that? But when a physical gamer tells you, yeah, I had to pre-order my game 6 months in advance, you understand. Why? Because they sell out. There's limited quantities. You know, a bunch of reasons. But for a digital game, bro, they're not selling out. But either way, the longer this goes on, the more people are going to keep their feet planted. And physical gamers, like I mentioned, we're still buying 70 million copies with less product. Like, that's hard. That is hard to do. So it means that they are a very engaged customer base. They're very proactive. They're willing to spend money. They're willing to buy shit. You know what I mean? They're the ones who tend to buy the collector's editions and all this other shit. I don't care if it's only 10% of my customer base. I would be worried about the future of my business if the biggest cheerleaders that I have don't want to cheerlead for me anymore. We're the ones that are making content, not the physical gamer, but I'm saying the hardcore gamer is the one making the YouTube content and on podcasts and all this shit. And even digital gamers are against this shit because they see the effects that it's going to have on them later on, right? So it's just not a good look overall. The whole situation is fucked up. You know, people haven't really been talking about games. They've been talking about this fucking situation. Look at every trailer that has come out on the PlayStation YouTube channel. It's all negative. Every Instagram post, all negative. Every Twitter post, all negative. I don't have Facebook, but I can only imagine it's all negative. Bro, word of mouth is extremely important for businesses. Just like when you do a good job, you tell people about it, people get interested, they go and buy the same shit you got from the same place. Same shit happens with word of mouth when shit's negative. We have Domino's Pizza clowning PlayStation, KFC clowning PlayStation, chair makers clowning pace. I mean, it's bad. It is bad. The only reason people are talking about the PS6 is because of no physical. We were just talking about the PS6 last month to see how much it was going to cost. That was another negative thing, pricing. I haven't heard people talk about what kind of technology and what kind of games we'll be getting on the PS6. Hardly at all. Any of those conversations were happening like 2-3 months ago. And as time went on, it moved to just negative and more negative and more negative and more negative. I don't care if you're fucking Apple, the richest company, or Amazon. There's only so much negativity you can take after X amount of time before you lose money, whether directly or indirectly. It's just, come on, we've all seen this happen throughout history. PlayStation is no different. As a matter of fact, PlayStation's in a weaker position because Sony depends on PlayStation for the majority of their business. So if PlayStation fails, Sony fails. So this is a very sensitive situation, and whether you're for or against, PlayStation has to clear the fucking air yesterday. Going out about this like nothing's happened, to me, shows the disrespect that they have for all of their customer base. Doesn't matter if you're physical, doesn't matter if you're digital, because there's digital guys out here going to bat for PlayStation, defending PlayStation. What, you don't think those guys want a little bit more information? It's all bad, man. PlayStation needs to get vocal. But either way, Prophet, I'm going to pass the mic on over to you one more time and let you, any final thoughts that you have on this. I promise Nelson will not interrupt you, so you can get your shit off. So take however long you want, and then I'll give it to
Don't
Nelson.
make promises you can't
Nope,
keep.
nope. I'm beat the fuck out of you.
Yeah, nah, I think these are all valid. I think these are all valid. PlayStation really needs to do something about this because this is the prevailing. You know what I mean? For me, I never had like my relationship with PlayStation is completely transactional, right? Like I play on consoles. This is the way my mind works, just so you can know. I play on consoles. I have interest in playing on PC. I play with PCs all day long for a job and start playing a game, right? I have a PC to play games on, you know what I mean? And when I use it, there's always some other shit that I have, you know what I mean? And there's PC twerking that has to be done, you know, you got to pay your little PC tab to play the game sometimes. Every time, oftentimes you'll have to download, drive, fix them, something or something that is getting in the way of the game, right? So for me, a console is very convenient. Um, and so I don't really see PC as a valid replacement for that console experience at this point. Um, and I think that's going to be the people. I don't think that most people. I don't think that this is going to have real long term effect. I think just like with Call of Duty, you know what I mean. I think we have it available. Whether they say it online, chances are they'll cave. You know what I mean? There will be a lot of people. Hopefully, I know there will at least be some people who are really in physical that will hold it down and you know fight the good fight. But I just genuinely think that Sony doesn't care. And
Mhm.
that's also the problem. As I've said this entire time, the issue is not even the issue, right? Physical games, we didn't even spend a lot of digital media rights and all of it. Because in reality, that's not the problem. The problem is how PlayStation handled it, and it's makes a lot of people feel betrayed in a way. For me, I expect PlayStation to do whatever is best for PlayStation. I'm here because, like I said, consoles is what I choose to play on, and you know the games that they have in that space, you know what I mean, not including PC space, uh, it's just leaps and bounds better than what I see going on elsewhere, right? I'm not going to play a bunch of Nintendo games, and Lord knows what's going on at Xbox. So, for personally, I've been satisfied with this generation. People really don't like when I say this, but this is one of my
This is my
favorite
favorite
generations of
generation of all
PlayStation.
time.
Yeah, this
This is
is
my
my
favorite
like
generation of all
it's
time.
so good. Like if you just look at it from the games are so good, better than they've ever been. You
That's
know what
why
I mean?
that's why I'm
They're
going so hard
fantastic.
because PlayStation ruined it. After the
So and
biggest
I
high
think
ever in my life, they fucking ruined it. Another thing, I don't
yeah,
want to cut you off, but I'm going to cut you off because
yeah.
my experience is my channel has been around for 2 years. In 2 years, I had 4,400 subscribers. In 1 week, I already gained 1,000 subscribers in 1 week in a channel that gets no marketing. I don't push anything. On average, people share my video twice. Okay, so it's not like YouTube's pushing my shit. It's not like people are sharing my shit on, on a lot of different places. But yet I am attracting more physical gamers and digital gamers than ever. And almost every single one, I would say 95% of the comments are PlayStation is screwing us. I'm done with PlayStation. I'm not buying any more PlayStation. I'm keeping what I got. I'm going retro. How to jailbreak? Is PC work? I mean, just every single question you can think of on how to stop with PlayStation. That has never ever happened in my channel ever. Not after console increase prices, not after PS Plus, not after Bluepoint, not after nothing. It just can't be coincidence that PlayStation will not feel this and the majority of people would just go along with it when I've had that sort of impact on my channel alone. When I talk to
Right.
other friends of the YouTube community who are also in gaming and may dabble into physical a little bit, not as much as me, they're also seeing the same reaction. I had a guy that I was talking to, he got 17,000 new subscribers this week alone. And he's bigger. He's got like 80K. But the reaction is real. Real. And the difference between console and PC each year is getting less and less and less. Look at me, man. I've been a console gamer my whole life. The only time I've ever owned a computer was a computer my dad got from Circuit City on a fucking payment plan when I was in 7th grade because the teacher made us do a fucking year-long report and I needed it. And they were making payments, driving up there every payday, putting 20 bucks down. That's the only time I had a PC in my life at home. And then when I became older, I bought like a cheap little laptop from the PX, which is a store in the military that soldiers can go to.
We know that one.
Yeah, you know what it is. That's it,
Yeah.
bro. And the fact that even this year I bought a PC for myself, I mean, just that alone is a fucking miracle. A miracle. I mean, look, even the stream, I don't know how to do the music at the start and the fucking cool shiny shit that these motherfuckers do. Like I'm still doing this shit, raw dogging it basically. I'm learning as I fucking go. I record my YouTube videos on a fucking cell phone. You know what I mean? Edits? What edits? I say I fuck it up, well, y'all gonna have to hear it. You know what I mean? Because to edit all that is gonna be complicated. And the reaction that I've gotten from people I've never seen before in my life. And if I'm seeing that on this little fucking channel in the corners of YouTube, I can only imagine. I mean, you don't have to imagine. Go to PlayStation's post and see how many people are reacting there, how many views. The first post PlayStation did, that thing has more views than GTA. More views than GTA, bro. And on top of that, the amount of comments of people saying fuck PlayStation. This is history in the making, in my opinion. It's a cultural earthquake. And that was actually my outro. So I get back to you and I won't say shit at the end.
Oh man, my fault.
You're good. I can still hear you.
Perfect. Yeah, sorry about that. My PlayStation turned off
Okay,
from inactivity.
Inactivity.
My fault.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was deep in the convo. I was listening intently.
Nah, you're good, bro. I cut you off at
Yo,
the
I'm already
beginning,
picking
but
up some Sega Genesis games next week. I ain't even got a Sega Genesis yet.
yeah,
Hey, there you
dude,
go.
I bought my PS1 game and I don't even have a PS1. See?
And I think that's the right thing to do. I think if this really affects you, I think if you feel like very upset about this, right? I think the right thing to do is to take it to Sony, man. Like take that PS5 on the internet. You know what I mean? If that's feasible, you know what I mean. Don't give them the MAU. Buy digital from them. Don't buy PS6. Don't do it. You know what I mean? Because I think the only thing that these companies recognize is the dollar.
Yeah.
That's all that they recognize, and anything else you can make as much noise on Twitter as you want.
No shit.
If
You
you
can bitch
go
and whine
by-
and moan as you want, but
if you go
bank
by
account
Call of
tells
Duty,
everything.
it's a problem. If you go by Call of Duty, about it. So for me, all I can say is that it doesn't affect my gaming enough that I would not continue gaming in this way. You know
I never
what
tell
mean?
people what to do. I just tell them what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Facts.
That's me.
Which is definitely like, yeah,
You ain't
that's all.
gotta
That's
be
all.
like me. It's my decision. You have your own decisions. I'm just making my argument for me. You can take that however you
That's-
want it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and that's fair. That's just fair. You know what I mean? And I support everybody's decision to do that. You know what I mean? But that's the only way that it. You know, anything else isn't. You know what I mean? Anything else isn't enough because, and in my opinion, I don't think it's going to change anything. That's just where I stand because I believe that the large majority are not going to be able to stick to it. That's my cynical take on it. You know, maybe I'm wrong, and this really eats into PlayStation's bottom line.
It's
But
not
one-
that they won't stick to it, it's that they're just gonna cut back. You know what I mean? Like Call of Duty, that's a unicorn. GTA, that's a unicorn. There's only so many unicorns in the video game industry that can demand that kind of retention and purchase power. It's the other AAA
But
games and indie
but if you
titles.
buy the console, but if you buy the PS6 and then you buy your yearly Call of Duty on it, it's the same thing. Even if you don't buy your indie title here and there, the only person you're really hurting there is the publisher because Sony's already made
Well,
their money.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, no, because Sony makes the majority of their money from the 30% cut from all third parties. So it's gonna hurt.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
That's
it's
fair.
gonna
You'll see
hurt
that.
the developer, absolutely. But then that's also a problem for Sony because why would a developer put a game on PlayStation if they're still getting? I mean, think about all these studios that have been paying PlayStation the last 2 weeks to promote their shit. You think Ubisoft is happy that when they go look at the PlayStation post on X, it's all stop killing physical games or on YouTube? Fuck no. Eventually they're gonna be like, yo, Sony, what's up with this? Like, we're giving you the bag to go tweet this shit out, and all we see is this. Like,
I think Ubisoft, a company like Ubisoft specifically, will be more happy about this than anything, as this also gives them more control and splits their centralizes their profit
yeah, but
more on
once
them.
again, this is just the one game. What about the other 77 games that they posted about? You know what I mean? That they don't have Ubisoft's money and power and the AC IP under their belt. You know what I mean? What about that one little multiplayer game?
Surely they're not happy.
No,
Surely they're not.
they're not.
But again, I think PlayStation doesn't care.
No, they
I
don't
just
care.
think they don't care.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Remember, the whole thing, it's not that PlayStation's going to reverse this because they're not. I don't think anybody knows this, but what I'm going to do and what I've been telling my subscribers is they're not going to change this, but just like they hurt us, let's hurt them. Let's continue to be vocal. Let's not support their shit. And then once 2028 happens, nice knowing you for the last 30 years. We'll catch you guys later. Whether you stay with your, like me, I got 1,200 games. I'm never going to be able to beat every single one of my games and get a platinum on them, for the rest of my life. On top of all the other shit I'm going to continue to buy, right? So I'll be straight. The graphics are great. This isn't like PS1 to PS2 where the tech jump was huge. PS2 to PS, no, it's PS4 to PS5. Yeah, there's a jump, but I mean, come on. PS5 to PS6 is probably going to be similar. So there's already diminishing returns on this shit. There's going to be so many people happy with playing just what they got. People are going, Nelson is going retro. He's just going completely backwards. Look, I missed the whole PS3 gen because I was in the military. You know what I mean? So there's a ton of games there that I haven't played yet. And I think a lot of people are thinking like, and by a lot of people, I don't mean the majority. I just mean a lot of people that, it can mean 1 million people. It can mean 500,000 people. Whatever number you think a lot of people is, that's the number that I'm talking about. I don't think it's the majority of people, but I think it's a lot of people. And if you get a lot of people to unsubscribe from PS Plus at the bare, like I'm paying $120 a year for PS Premium, right? But if I pay monthly, it's almost 300 or 2, whatever the fuck it was. But if you have 100,000 people that don't buy PS Plus Premium at the base, that's $11 a month. You think fucking a couple $1 million is gonna make Sony change anything? Fuck no. But when you look at the year and they're down $15 million on top of, I don't know, 300,000 consoles that they didn't sell, on top of the 30% that they could have got from all these games that they published on the platform. Yeah, a couple $1 million ain't shit, but when you start to add it up and you're at 100 million a quarter, yeah, shit changes quick then. Even with the physical shit, PlayStation still makes $1.5 billion a year off physical. For them, that's a rounding error. I mean, that's just the accountant saying, "Oh, my bad, I fucked up the decimal point. Who cares? Write it off on the taxes." That's where they're at with physical right now. That's why they're not making. That's why they're not responding to nobody. This backlash is nothing to them because it's a rounding error. You know what I mean? Because the guys that buy physical, it's not the majority. So that's the way they see it. It's the long term and the cultural impact that's going to affect them the most over time. That's my guess. But Nelson, anything else you want to? Or sorry, go ahead, preacher.
No. I just wanted to say that's where that we definitely agree. I don't think that this is going to necessarily show in Sony's bottom line, which is what they care about. I think where they did irreparable damage and priceless damage is to their brand cachet,
Yeah.
their political cachet,
Yeah.
and to their relationship with the gamer. And that relationship with the gamer that then moves that on outwards
Yep.
to other people. You know
Yep.
what I mean? That they have irreparably damaged throughout not just this, but through the course of this entire generation.
Yeah.
And there's really no solve for that
Nah.
as far as, yeah, there's not much solve for that
Oh,
from
and
PlayStation right now.
another Pandora's box that we didn't talk about is once again, it's not going to change anything, but the conversations are being forced, right? Shit that people never really cared about, which is the digital shit. We have countries like Brazil and France taking action now. Now they're actually, politicians are talking about it, right? So yeah, those are only two countries. PlayStation is a worldwide country, but the fact that you now have two major world powers talking about, hold up, what is this PlayStation ending physical? What is this doing to digital rights? Just starting the conversation is not going to change anything now. But what do they come up with in 2 years? What do they
That's the
come up
most
with in
important
3
thing.
years?
That's what upsets me about the whole digital situation is at least it started off on everybody was just like physical because a physical game gives you ownership. You know more than physical game absolutely does not guarantee you ownership of something. You know what I mean? So
But it is
that's
the
not the issue.
safest way of ownership. And by the way, all this didn't even get started by PlayStation ending physical. This all got started by Stop Killing Games. That's who started all this shit, because these live service games would fucking, stop with their support of a game. You paid all this money and then they take all the money and the gamer keeps nothing. So they're the ones who've been doing this political battle in California, which they lost, but barely. All they needed was 2 or 3 more votes in order for it to pass. Which the law that they were trying to pass is basically is if you're a live service game and you end the live service game, you have to give gamers X amount of time in advance, and you also have to supply them with a offline mode of that game. So that was the thing that they were trying to pass, and eventually it didn't. Why? Because Ubisoft sent their people out there. You know what I mean? These big publishers started to, now it's like a big battle that happened in California, which the media barely covered, right? Because nobody was thinking about this shit. And guess what? PlayStation stopped with physical media. Now they're back on the forefront. Everybody's talking about the shit. Now everybody's investigating the court proceedings and see, so it's not that physical games you are guaranteed ownership, but like Nelson said, who's gonna come in my house and take my game from me? Because ain't nobody is able to turn off my game from outside of my house. If I pop my disc into my PlayStation 5, the most they can do is they can break it, right? But guess what? I just go buy another PS5, use a fake bootleg account or email, and I'm right back to playing my game. I don't need the internet for anything because all the games come with the game on the disc. Not everything, but there's some games like Ubisoft, the minority, a super small minority. 93% of games are on the actual disc. So
But
they
what
can't
version
change.
of the game is that? You know what I mean? With it, the big thing now is like, well, not now, but the big thing over the last 2 generations has been day one patches, right?
Yeah, they're
If you're
playable
just stuck with
games.
these,
They're playable games.
yeah, they're playable, but
You know what I
you're
mean?
still seeing, yeah, yeah. I
And
just don't see physical games as
and
the solve for this. I think the bigger issue is the digital media rights.
well, and you
I think if
and
we,
I think you should take a peek at the physical, because I think you'll be surprised. For example, this year alone, I've tested, I don't know, about 100 games, and there's only 2 standouts that were on the disc but were completely broken that I'm like, nah, you can't buy this. One of them was Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. The other one was Crimson Desert. Those are the only 2 games that I popped in with no internet. I was like, yeah, this shit is fucking broken. Especially Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Every other game, you wouldn't even be able to tell. Sure, there may be some bugs and some glitches and shit like that, but nothing so distracting that it fucks you up. The last game that I saw that was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. But even then, if we look back throughout video game history, games have always had bugs too. The difference is there was no day one patch. And if they did do, like, Grand Theft Auto is big with this, they sold so many copies of reprints with corrections on there that is insane with GTA.
Yeah, you just had to figure out a way around it or fucking.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and mind you, glitches are super weird because with glitches, you have to do the same action in the same place at the same time for it to happen. You know what I mean? So a lot of the times with glitches is because people are fucking doing crazy shit that most people aren't doing. And sometimes a glitch is just a glitch that's on every game at the same exact time and exact, it's different variances, but most games, like I say in my channel, the rule is if you can start a game, install it without internet and play it, it's gonna play the whole way through. But
if you can start to finish, it's
good. You know what I mean? And as long as you own it, you know it's yours. The other thing too is preservation, which is something that the digital gamer doesn't talk about because they normally have automatic updates and the thing updates while you are on rest mode, or as soon as you start it up and you start playing one game, the other games are updating. We don't even know what the update is. We just think that it's making the game better, right? But look at Expedition 33, Mael. I've said this 100 times where they debuffed her. The developers on a single player game said that she's too powerful in the game, so they put out an update to make her weaker. The only way you can play her again the way that she released is with a physical copy. You can't delete your digital version of the game, re-download it, and just say, no, I don't want this update. You can do that on PC, but you can't do it on PlayStation. Or if you have a physical copy of the game, you just delete it, insert it back in, don't update it, and now you have the same exact version. Just like licensed games, as time goes on and music gets cut out of Grand Theft Auto and all these racing games and cars, the branding and all that goes away, you'll never be able to play those games ever again as they came out. So you had your favorite song in that game, your favorite car, they put out an update because the licensing ended, there that goes. The only way you can do it is with a physical copy. That's why if there's any games that are delisted, you go get a physical copy, they're super expensive because people got the same idea. Let me go out here and get it. With the all digital world, there's so much that you're going to miss out on, especially preservation. What about, we've all been dealing with the political shit, right? Over the last 10 years, specifically the woke shit, the anti-woke, all that, right? Who's to say that in 5 or 10 years, it's now considered, culturally inappropriate to say the word bro? Well, guess what? All developers now got to do is just put out a patch for a game, censor everything that says bro, and that's it. Everything's patched out. You'll never be able to play a game like that ever again. Or like the Stellar Blade demo when PlayStation released it earlier than they should have, and they just yanked it right out of everybody's console, right? So those are things that can happen digitally. Talk about the movies. We lost 500 movies. Terminator 2 was among those just a couple of weeks ago. And that's just one of the purges that's happened on PlayStation this generation. We had another one a few years ago with National
what happens
Geographic.
if a publisher gets closed down too and the license agreement, that probably terminates?
Yeah.
Like if Ubisoft goes kaput, guess what? All your Ubisoft shit might be gone.
And like we said earlier, the PS Store's closing. Okay, not the end of the world. You can go out and get a PS3 physical game. I just bought one with Call of Duty. But when the PS6 store closes down, that's it. There's no more of that game. And then they'll just pull the old, well, we got a special edition releasing digital of this game that came out in 2037. You'll get it, next year. And they can price it at whatever amount they want. It'd be another thing, too, if they said, hey, guys, we're going to pass on the savings of not having physical to you. But they never did that. They told us that in the beginning. That's how they got us to buy digital games in the beginning. And we never saved a fucking penny on day and date games, especially when they did the whole pre-download thing to get you ready for the game, right? Now you can pre-download a week early at midnight. You can start playing it right away. And look what's happened over the years. Not every game comes out at midnight. Now games come out between midnight and 10 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon. So you pre-order this motherfucker,
weird.
You fucking install that bitch a week early, and you can't even play that bitch till 2
so the
p.m.
game comes out Friday, but if you pay me an extra $30 or whatever, you can
Get
play
it 4 days early.
Fuck out of here! You mean I can play it on time? You're gonna delay my access.
So those are all things that happen.
Because if it was early access, fucking, I want. You know what I'm saying? Because the full game's out. I'm not playing the goddamn beta.
Well, it's like GTA 6, the $100 one is, that should have been the standard edition. You know what I mean? But they're not throwing anything extra unless you pre-order that fucking thing. And then they're just going to throw a code in the box, But either way, man, there's a lot of things. I definitely recommend for you guys to really look at your own gaming habits. Whether you're a digital or physical gamer, really take a close look at this because If you don't think this is gonna affect you, I don't care if you're a physical gamer with 5,000 games in your collection and you don't ever need to fuck with PlayStation ever again because you're secure. You're wrong. You need to take a look at your collection and your games. If you're a digital gamer specifically, you need to look at your shit because PlayStation is willing to get rid of the cheerleaders of the fucking console just to get to you. They're willing to get rid of the guys that do unboxings and shit for you.
Bro, it's a sign. Metal Gear came out a year or 1 day shy of when almost at 1 year to the day when I was born.
Fuck Metal Gear, weak ass game.
7/13/87. That's a day before my first birthday.
Trash ass game. Trash ass game. Sorry, I'm buying.
Metal Gear Solid 1. Oh, hold on.
I bought a trash ass game. What's up, bro?
I just played Metal Gear Solid first time like last
what you think? What you think?
Ago. It was gas. It was gas.
You liked it?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
like stealth games.
Hell yeah.
You know,
I like stealth games. I like.
Someone's got motherfucking taste.
No,
in this
you
bitch.
know why I hate it. You know what I hated, and I told Nelson this. I wouldn't have.
I don't even want to hear it.
I wouldn't have hated this thing if I played it when I was a 14-year-old horny boy. You know what I mean? Or just a 14-year-old boy because seeing Snake say some dumb shit like,
just stop talking. You're pissing
check
me
out
off.
these guns. Yeah, that would have sounded cool to me at 14, but at fucking 38,
that was not.
Man, I don't give a
just
fuck
making
about
shit
that.
up, dude.
Snake sounds like a
man.
dude who's trying to be cool by copying another dude who sounds cool. That weak ass shit. Now the gameplay is dope, right? The whole stealth mechanic. Kojima is a genius, inventing a whole genre. Like that's fire. But the writing, fucking trash.
All that
That's
voice
the best
acting
writing
on
in.
PS.
Just we need to end this before I fucking pop the vessel.
Ass. Once again, I think if you love that game,
in fucking
you
gaming
never
history
grew
and
up.
fucking, oh my.
You're still impressed by fucking cleavage. Get over it. You got your dick wet already. You shouldn't be enjoying this fucking shit.
Just say I didn't understand it. It's easier.
Oh, yeah, you had a grown-ass man fucking behaving like a cat. Meow. Fucking licking his paws and shit. Get the fuck out of here.
He said that. He's used that example. That's the only example he's gave for like the past 6 months, which
That's
is genius,
trash. Oh, yeah. Motherfucker, we clown furries. We clown furries.
Everyone!
But
You can disguise
Kojima
it
does
as a
it.
fucking wild animal. It's
Kojima does it,
Weren't
and
you
it's
in the army?
genius.
Fuck.
But you have a 40-year-old man who dresses like a fucking cat, and that's weird.
He dresses like a cat. Shut up. Just shut
Get the
up. You're
fuck
just
outta
not even.
here.
You're not even making sense anymore.
Get out of here with that shit. All right, guys, go hit the like and subscribe button. We'll catch you guys next week, man. I put the links up for Preacher. I put the links up for Nelson. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us, man. We had a very long, productive conversation. It was cool having Preacher here and get a difference of opinion. And we had Nelson here being Nelson. But thank you. Preacher, let the people know where they can find you at, bro.
Hey, appreciate y'all having me. Hot ass takes. Come check me out over at the Pews. We do this all the time. Come through with your dissenting opinions. I love that more than anything. You know what I mean? I appreciate people agreeing with me, but I love when people disagree with me. Let's talk about it. I want to see where everybody's at. This specifically is such a touchy subject. You know what I mean? Not touchy in a well, yeah, I guess touchy in a personal way. You know what I mean?
It's
People
big
feel
personal.
very personally about these games. You know what I mean? It's important, and it shows the passion that we have for this genre. You know what I mean? And this type of entertainment. And it's tough to see it change. You know what I mean? And definitely don't want to downplay that at all. But
also
definitely come.
PlayStation getting rid of physical will be the first major entertainment thing that's physical that goes away.
They even brought back vinyls, dude. That shit my great grandparents
They're
used.
still selling VHS and everything.
I'm 40 in 2 days, dude, and I ain't even ever seen that shit before.
You're
I
old as
bought more
fuck.
vinyls 6 years than I bought games. I bought like 10 times more vinyls than I bought games.
Dude, I just got into vinyl, so I bought my first record player a couple months ago.
Hey,
It's
there
dope.
you go, man. It's way better. Way better.
Yeah, it sounds
like
richer,
games.
just like physical games. Facts.
But
But where can Preacher? Where can they find you at?
Yeah, definitely come through. We're on the Pews at the Pews 1511 on YouTube, at Passive Profit on X. Just come check me out, man. You know, we doing
No.
the damn thing. We're doing the damn thing, and I will be here a lot more often. So
Yep.
looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, go check out Preacher, man. He got some really solid content, not only well spoken, but also put some thought behind his opinions and answers and shit. So it's gonna be great. And we completely skipped Xbox. Well, basically, Xbox ain't returning physical. Okay, they're fucking dead already. They've been dead. That's why PlayStation saying this is so important because there's nobody else except Nintendo, and Nintendo right now is continuing to be Nintendo. But either way, thank you guys. We'll catch you guys next week, Sunday, and throughout the week, throughout my normal rants that I do throughout the week on my lunch break. And hit the like and subscribe. Go follow Preacher.
Yeah,
Go
usually
follow
somebody
Nelson.
pisses me off by like noon on Monday, so.
Yeah,
Yep.
get hot and ready.
Yep. All right, guys. Next, keep it gaming.